Really is.
Jesse Sylvia and Danielle Anderson are on. Looks like we're going to start. We're starting the game already in progress. Looks like we got a big hand to start. Eric's picked up 2 kings in the cutoff. It looks like Stu's picked up 2 jacks in the small blind. Looks like Eric is raised, and then Stu re-raised. Now Eric is 4-bet to 1650 here.
This is a really gross spot right away for Stu because I know that he's played with Eric enough, and I've played with Eric enough to know that he can absolutely be making a move here, just putting pressure on his opponent. So
yeah, and it's like cutoff for small blind too, right?
Right.
So he expects Stu to like be 3-betting a bunch of his hands because he's out of position.
And Stu expects Eric to be raising here in the cutoff with almost anything, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Stu like always has to call here though, right?
yeah,
like,
for sure. Well, I mean, I guess I don't know what the stack says is, but I would assume.
Oh no! Oh my God.
No offense, I love you, Stu, but Eric, he's from Minnesota.
He's one of us.
He's such a nice dude. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't want to see the jack on the flop. Wah wah. And he's got a Vikings hat on.
He's representing the 6 and 2 Vikings.
Shit.
We got 2 more cards, guys. We could always.
I know, yeah, that's true. Just
Stu's are running good on this.
Such a dry board too.
Really
There's
well
like
last
no
night.
draws.
Yeah.
No draws. Yeah, it's Stu flats here, right? He's not raising at any particular.
Yeah, I don't see any real reason to. I would assume he's gonna flat here.
So again, I'm Dallas Scott, your host, Bellagio Hotel. We got Jesse Sylvia, runner-up to the main event. Danielle Anderson.
Jesse Sylvia. That's what more do you need to know about Jesse Sylvia? Other than this man is lucky enough to be runner-up in the flippin' main event.
Does that's become part of your name now, though, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
People always
Jesse runner-up in the main event.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I described him on Twitter and on Facebook as he's annoyingly likable.
Yeah, which is like one of the more accurate descriptions I've ever heard of myself.
And lucky, so got that going for you.
I'm very lucky.
At least you recognize it.
Oh my God.
Oh, this check back. Yeah, the check back by Eric is going to save him some money, I think.
I've known Eric for a long time. Like you said, he's one of us. He's from Minnesota. I want to talk to you guys about playing against guys like Eric. We'll discuss it after this hand.
I think Stu's going to rip and Eric's going to call, right?
That would be
Most
my
likely.
prediction.
I mean, it's kind of hard for Stu to have a bluff, right? Because like Ace-5 just got there, and Ace-4 made a pair and might try to see showdown, but oh, I gotta get this thing a little closer.
There you go.
All right, boom, we're in. I think our man Eric's about to.
Do you think that Stu would Eric ever be able to convince himself that Stu's value betting here with like queens or something? Because it seems like pretty reasonable for him to. If I'm in Stu's position and I'm flatting and then it checks back on the turn, if I have queens, I'm feeling pretty good here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Eric plays, and I don't know how like light he's known to call down. The problem with I mean, obviously, like the problem with jamming queens for value, and you totally can, is that when they check back, they usually have like air.
Oh, Eric's talking to him a little bit here.
How do you get that hand so many times?
Eric must have watched the stream last night where Stu's to flop set over set on last night.
Wow, Eric
Was it
really.
Jacks as well?
Yes, he did. He did flop set of Jacks last night. That's correct.
This is so sick that Eric really thinks he's like beat.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he would snap him off, but
One hand, is that really bad?
sniffing something out here.
In this spot?
Take a real 10 feet.
One hand.
Be one hand and he might not jam queens.
Can be 7 deuce.
I would be so absurd. Oh, I was just gonna say I'd be so absurdly impressed if you laid this down, but I don't know how you can.
Yeah.
It's just bad luck.
That's actually very disciplined on Eric to just call there, right?
No, well, I think it was all in.
Was it?
Wasn't it?
No. It was Eric Stu bet 2,200.
Yeah.
You bet 2,200?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I can't believe Eric even thought about folding for 2,200. I mean, Stu could easily, like, for 2,200, Stu could have queens or ace-jack or something. Yeah.
So, when you Eric Worre is a businessman. He's not necessarily a professional poker player. He doesn't play for a living. He plays for fun. When you're playing for a living, and then you get a guy like Eric who comes in, honestly, Eric's very wealthy. How does that change your game when you're playing against guys like him?
I don't get any free.
Honestly, I think people like. I think some people over-adjust to recreational players. Like these guys are incredibly smart human beings who have just spent less time at the table than pros. So it's like, yes, they have less experience in certain spots and certain hands, but they're very smart and they learn very quickly, and that's how they amass their wealth generally. So I don't know. I feel like you still want to play a similar game that you're normally playing. You want to have like good ranges and stuff. You just, you know, they will make more mistakes occasionally than you will. But you don't like people make crazy adjustments. They'll start calling with like Jack 4 suited, so they can play a pot with them.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Eric, he's, you know, he doesn't play for a living, and but he's a guy that you can obviously tell he's very intelligent.
He is. Eric, he's, if you Google Eric Worre's name, W-O-R-R-E.
Guy's a superstar.
He is. He is like, you know, I actually just went to a seminar that he did this weekend with Tony Robbins and Pitbull as guest speakers.
Whoa.
Eric.
Yeah, those are some big names.
Yeah.
He's a celebrity. In
he
his,
is really like.
Yeah.
And even like, I used to play 30-60 with Eric back in Minnesota at Canterbury. I didn't know much about him other than from the game, and I've learned more about him over the years. He is probably the most successful person ever in the history of his line of work.
Yeah, he's literally a huge celebrity. He has like an insane amount of Twitter followers.
Really?
Yeah.
Insane. He's got like a cult-like following.
All right, I'm gonna have to do some research.
Yeah, I didn't know. I had played with him
in
in Minnesota like 7-8 times, and I said, "So what do you do?" And everybody at the table kind of laughed at me, and
really.
And he was like, "Oh, I do marketing." And then he was very like, you know, humble about it. Didn't really say much. And then my friend later sent me a thing, you know, Google him, and I'm like, "Oh wow, oh snap." He's got like best-selling books, and he's the go-to guy on marketing. So
he's the guy that has the jets, and like he's that guy like, that has his own private jet. Like
but he's also awesome.
He is.
He's just so nice.
He's funny, and he's really. We're going to see tonight that he's great to have at the table because he has a lot of personality. He likes to talk a lot of trash. He's actually introduced tonight. We're playing the 7 deuce game for 200 ahead.
Yes, I love it
because of Eric. That was his idea. He wanted
he's
willing to bet anything but red and black flops. He says.
Okay.
Well, why does he do red and black?
Too much of a gamble. I guess. No skill involved.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, if you pick black, you'll probably win more. I pick black, and I've won more in my life.
I always pick black.
I always pick black. Yeah.
Have they been doing bomb pots on the streams at all?
We have had some bomb pots on the streams. Normally, they're towards the end of the stream. We'll get, you know, $100, $200 bomb pots. We have had the button game quite a bit on the stream. What's your favorite property?
I don't know. I like 7 deuce a lot, but bomb pots are really, really great in terms of like if somebody gets stuck, then they try to win the bomb pot a little bit harder, and there's like all these weird dynamics going on, and it's like a good way to get people a little bit more loosened up for the rest of the game.
We had a bomb pot 2 weeks ago. Maybe Harry can help me out.
Why are you buying for so much?
Where somebody picked up aces in the bomb pot. Was it Ryan LaPlante that picked up aces?
Oh, Mikey D.
I don't even want aces in the bomb pot.
He picked up aces in the bomb pot. Yeah. And Matt Affleck flopped an open straight draw on a 10-9-4 rainbow board, and was able to take the pot away from him after he bet his aces because
I mean, there's so
no
many cards
idea,
out.
Right? He has no idea where he's at.
And you know what? Like Mike felt bad. I've talked to him about it a couple times. He felt really bad about that hand, and I think it's totally fine the way he played it. Like he doesn't want to not bet aces on the flop because he wants to protect his equity to some extent. But like that's not going to have many bluffs there. Like he's going to have Queen Jack. He might not even raise like 7-8. So I mean, Mike just has to fold. Like he can have all the 2 pairs.
He can
have all
10,
the sets.
9-4.
Yeah, exactly.
10-4. All those hands are.
Maybe he just calls it like 9-4, but he's definitely raising like 10-4 and 10-9, all the sets and stuff. And you're fighting 8 people.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously you have like 0 defined ranges whatsoever.
We got
wine coming in here.
Yeah.
The stream's about to get better. This was, they asked me to do this commentary, and I said, yes, absolutely.
Wait, hold up.
But only if we're allowed to drink wine while we're
Jesse being the classy
here
individual
chatting.
here, making sure the cocktail waitress gets tipped. Very classy, Jesse.
Like I said, annoyingly likable. The worst.
My favorite hand, 10-8 suited. Let's see how Matt plays this.
The worst beat I've ever heard of happening, not to tell bad, it isn't even me, but
he 3-bet 10-8.
A great story for a bomb. It was a bomb pot. My friend was involved in it. And he had queens, and the flop was like Queen 5-2, and another gentleman had Queen 5. And they get it all in, and they run it twice. And the other guy on 2 boards goes like club, 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 club to win with his 5 of clubs. Like, oh, man. Brutal. So that's the thing with bomb pots. You just see the worst beats.
It should be a pit game, though, right? Like, we should have that game out in the pit. Call it bomb pots, and everybody just put up money and then see a flop.
Oh, if you made a table here devoted to bomb pots, I'd be all about it.
Do we have to have white wine there?
White wine not required for bomb pots, but it would probably make them more interesting.
Oh, man, last night.
White wine makes everything more interesting, though, in fairness.
Yeah, well, technically all wine makes everything more interesting. No need to, you know, segregate.
Cheers.
Last night, this guy came over to me when I was talking to my friend by the bar, and he was trying to tell me a bad beat story about how he lost with aces 3 hands in a row. And I made an excuse and walked away because I didn't want to hear. It seemed like it was going to be a long story. And then I got aces, I lost with them, and I got aces the very next hand and lost with them. And I was like, oh my God, like karma's going to get me, and I'm going to lose with aces 3 times in a row.
So Matt's got top pair, and Eric has bottom pair and a flush draw. Oh, now Eric has 2 pair.
Matt's not going to lose any more money with this hand, right? Matt, there's too many hands that got there.
So Eric bet turn, Matt
called
turn. I see.
King on the river puts the 4 cards straight out there. Eric's going to fire anyway with 2 pair.
Oh, we have action right here, so I can actually.
Yeah, you can actually see.
I can actually see what's going on with the action.
So maybe we should go through, because I'm familiar with most of these players, but I'm not familiar with all of them. So
well, you guys know D-Choi in the 1 seed.
Let's see, we get D-Choi in the 1 seed.
Ron Corey, local businessman.
Ron, who's also a legend himself.
He is.
Yeah.
Great dude.
Yes.
Ron is awesome.
He does a lot of work for charity. You like to see guys who have made it in life, and just at this point in his life, he's retired. He plays poker for fun. But I guess for his retirement, his post-retirement, he works doing charity events. You know, he does a lot of charities helping police officers.
Such a pure dude. There are people that you like to, win money from more than others in poker, and then there's people that you're like, oh, you're so nice, I don't even want your money. Even though, he probably has plenty of it, but still, he's just one of those guys just so nice.
Yeah. And then Q was in the 4 seat. Q was one of Jesse's favorite players.
Q is hilarious. We need to mic Q up. Just Q.
The mic is actually right next to Q, so we should really hear everything he says tonight. And then we have Matt Moore in the 5 seat. Eric Worre, we've talked about. David Fuss has played on the stream a few times. He's an attorney. Have you guys played much with him?
I don't think I'm familiar with him. David is his name?
Yes.
He looks familiar.
I played with him last night, and I think I played with him before.
No, he's from D.C. He's an attorney, but he actually spends quite a bit of time here.
Okay.
And then, of course, Stu Marshak is in the 8 seat tonight.
But obviously, like we're rating it to
and you guys have played a lot with Stu.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys have played a lot with D-Choi, Q, Matt Moore, obviously.
Ron.
I think I played a lot with everybody here with the exception of David. Otherwise, played a decent amount with all these players.
Do you consider that at this level of 25-50 is there a player that either of you guys sit down when you see them at the table, like, maybe I don't really want to play this game, because you just feel like the game is just, their game is that good?
There's never really especially if you're sitting in a full ring game, I feel like there's never one player who can make that much of an impact. Sometimes you're like, I don't want to be on that, I don't want that person to have position on me kind of thing. I mean, maybe like 3-handed or something, like, yes, there's absolutely people I'm like, forget it, they're going to make my life, a nightmare. Not in this lineup tonight, but somebody who I know has played before. I think that Clay.
Yes.
I think Clay
McGuire is one of my favorite players.
Yeah, he's just like a quiet crusher. He just never really, you never really know exactly how he does it, but he just has chips, and then 5 hours later he just has heaps.
He has more chips.
And you're like, oh, and he never shows down a hand. He's just a very, very solid player. So he's, of all the Bellagio regs that I play against, he's a nice guy, so I don't mind having him at the tail, but the one that I least enjoy playing against.
How about you, Jesse? Is there something that you feel like just holds over you in life, every time you play them,
I got a few guys that I definitely have never won a pot off of for 3 years, but it's kind of just goes with the variance of the game. I have guys that I've won way too much off of. I was gonna say the same thing as D-Moon. I don't there's 9 people, so I never worry about sitting with someone in the game. And then I remember that Eric Liu exists, and every time I sit at the table with him, I somehow am involved in a ton of pots.
In a long time.
I know, me neither. I think he's been in LA for a while, but he is.
I know he had a baby and he had some business stuff going on. So I haven't seen Eric Liu. Is a very Well,
he's also unavoidable because he plays more pots than most people at the table, and he's he 3-bets a lot more. He's just very aggressive. So you're going to end up playing big pots with him, and if you tend to not win the big pots against him, it's real rough. Like I have very few pots won my last like 5 years against Matt Moore, but like we just don't play that many pots against each other, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters, but you know what I mean. It's like fair enough.
Somebody I know you're familiar with, Joseph Chong. Like I've never played Joseph in a cash game, but we've played several tournaments against each other.
Oh yeah, Joe's in and out of every pot.
I can't. It's almost the point where I try to avoid him now. Like I can't 4-bet him out of a hand when I have a hand.
Yeah.
You know, blind versus blind. I can't shake him, and I can't beat him in the pot either. He just holds over me. Like
he's a sticky one.
He is.
When Joe's like running good, I mean, when he's not running good, he still plays really well. But when he's running good, that means that he's winning most of the pots he's in, and he's always in a ton of pots. It's like the scariest thing to watch because you're like, how do you play 75% of hands and still win all of them?
Win all of them.
Crazy to watch.
Yeah, I think he plays 80% of the hands he plays against me, and yeah. And his range is so. He plays this dynamic type of game where he switches up so often that it's really hard to put him on a range where he's at.
Yeah,
nice
for
fold,
sure.
Nice fold.
Is there somebody, well, maybe you don't want to say who you just lick your chops for when you see the game, you're like, yes.
Jesse and I have a mutual friend, Mikey D, and it's not that I like lick my chops because I'm like, oh, he's so bad, I'm going to get all his money. But just every time that we're in a game together, we just play so hard against each other that it's fun every time because, you know, people are always like, oh, what is it like playing against your friends in poker, and do you guys not playing against each other? And I'm like, no, that's not really how it works. Mikey D and I play harder at each other than like anybody. It's amazing. We'll just get in with anything. So,
and it's hard not to be friends with a lot of wood players now, right? Because you play them so often in so many games. Because honestly, at this 25-50 level, there's not a whole huge player pool for that game. So a lot of you guys are playing together quite often. So you do become friends with each other, and you know, have dinners and associate outside of poker. So you can't change that friend dynamic, correct?
No, I think I just watched an interview, like an old interview with Nick Schulman the other day, and I think he said it perfectly. He's like, I have too much respect for the game of poker to not go hard at my friends.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, and also you know they're going to go hard at you, so you have to go just as hard against them. But it is weird. Like you go out to dinners and then you like
and then you come back and try to take each other's money for each other.
And like I definitely have some friends that go way harder against
they're hoping that somebody else
almost anyone else. Like Justin Young and I like really enjoy hanging out with each other at the table, but like we've battled like every time we played. Like the other day I opened the button and he folded the big blind and I was like, dude, like what the hell? And he was like, yeah, sorry, my hand was really bad. I was like, if you're gonna start folding, like, and I don't know that you're about to do that, like, we're gonna have problems, man. I don't think he's ever folded to me.
You definitely like play hard against everybody, but there are some players that you just particularly, it's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum where you enjoy beating them for a different reason. I call that F that guy equity. You know, when like statistically and mathematically at that moment it might not be like the best play, but if it works out, this is going to be hilarious, and I'm really going to enjoy it.
But David's got a mystery hand here. We had two spade draw, 2 6s on the flop. Detroit should be able to win this with a bet. Eric's completely missed, unless he decides to float here.
Maybe the mystery hand is pocket 6s. Nope.
It is not pocket 6s.
Probably not.
So, like, if you lose at credit card roulette for dinner, does that change your dynamic if you're playing poker with them? Do you want to get that money back for dinner after?
It doesn't change your dynamic, but it's so irritating. I could come sit at a poker table and I can lose very substantial amounts of money, but I go out to dinner with friends and I lose a $80 credit card roulette and I am like raging tilt. I'm so irritated.
I think of it as like a free roll because if I lose the pot, it's whatever. But if I win the pot, now I get to needle them about how they really paid for dinner.
And I cannot believe they were offering a $1,000 credit.
Thankfully, I am pretty good at CCR. So
Twins Cat wants to know who is this woman. This woman is Danielle Moon.
Hey.
I said, should I
Twins Cat, I'm assuming, is a Twins fan.
Who is this woman?
Yes.
Who is the woman?
I am Dallas Scott, your host. You're watching Bellagio Pots Poker on the Strip. My co-host tonight, Jesse Sylvia and Danielle Moon Anderson. The 5 Diamond is coming up. Do you have your schedule ready for the 5 Diamond? Do you know what you're playing?
I usually just kind of play it by ear and show up, and if like cash games aren't good, I jump into a tournament. But I always try to play the 1K PLO reentry because that is such a fun tournament. I try to play the shot clock now because I think that one's amazing. And I usually play like the 5K in the main event.
We have a tag team event this year. We're at it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
But it's
I'll
a true
definitely play
tag
that.
team event where you must play alternating levels.
Oh, okay, cool.
So like you can't just play
like
one
that.
orbit and then
Yeah,
bring
yeah.
in somebody to win the tournament for you. You must play alternating levels. What do you guys think of those type of tournaments like that? That add something different than traditional form.
Oh, I think it's great. I'm
Yeah.
not normally a tournament person. I don't even look at the 5 diamond schedule. I have no idea. But somebody asked me to play that one. I was like, oh, that sounds kind of fun. I might actually do that. It's just something a little different, mix it up. I think anything that just keeps the game fun I'm all for it.
It's like
I actually thought that they should do, eventually somebody should do a legitimate tag team where the tournament just ends when it ends. And it could play all night. That way you actually have to make a team so that you sub people in so you can get sleep and stuff.
That's kind of cool.
like a tag team marathon event.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like start with some ridiculous amount of chips and you literally have to those Baja races.
This is
By
gonna
the
be an
way,
interesting
sorry.
hand, yeah.
No, let's play.
Holy
We've got
cow.
flush over, ace high flush draw. This is pretty sick.
Oh,
D-Choi
Eric.
at the
Oh my
helm.
gosh. Look at how bad Eric is running.
Yeah, Eric's running atrocious.
Eric's off to a rough start.
And D-Choi is just... D-Choi won heaps yesterday, too.
And he's got Detroit has the open end straight flush draw also.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's got 2 of the cards covered. That's
Yep.
kind of gross for everyone. That's probably why Ron only has 11% with his nut flush draw.
What's Detroit thinking right here?
I mean, he's
He's bet 500.
it's a mixture of I hope I don't lose and because I'm definitely getting it in and oh man, let's go.
And how much money am I going to win
Yeah,
this spot?
exactly. Whenever you don't have the nuts, you're I know how I'm going to play this. I just hope I don't lose. When you have the second or third nuts.
Normally on every stream, we always seem to have that guy who's just in the bad seat or something. He just runs into it all night. And it looks like early on it might be Eric.
Yeah.
I mean, he ran the kings into a set of jacks.
Yeah, this is brutal.
This is a $4,200, $4,400 bet into a $6,700 pot, $5,500.
I would not be
See, do we have
surprised
stack
if Choi just
sizes
jams.
anywhere? I'm wondering.
And Ron has the convenience knowing that he does not have the nut flush draw here. Detroit does not know that.
Yeah, D-Choi's almost definitely just going to jam. Oh, maybe he will just call.
He's got about, I think those are all yellow. After calling the bet, he'd only have about.
Looks like he's at 10, 12, 14,000 total.
Yeah,
he's all in.
Well, and this is at least.
He's at 13-2, so he's all in for the 13-2.
So the thing is, he knows when Eric bets that size that he's never folding.
Right.
He's committed himself, so he might as well just get it in and protect when Ron has sets or the ace of clubs. And charge Ron the maximum to get there on him.
How much more, please?
Is that a tough spot for Ron or an easy spot for Ron?
I think it's pretty easy.
It's pretty easy, eh?
Because sometimes your outs are tainted and stuff. Somebody's almost definitely going to have a set, and somebody else is going to have a flush, and then you have 2 less clubs, and then the set blocks some clubs that pair the board.
You think it's a play that a lot of novice players make or amateur players make by calling there with the ace high flush draw?
I think
The way this hand played out, I think for most people, I mean, I guess some guy who's got a ton of money and he just wants to gamble, but if you're I don't know, reasonably intelligent poker player, I feel like it's pretty easy to get away from there.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe the recreational players at lower stakes make that mistake, but at the higher stakes, it's these are very smart guys and they've learned very quickly from experience. Yeah, I'm just not calling off on the turn with a bear.
They run it twice, and Eric's gonna see D-Choice.
They didn't really need to run that one twice.
I don't think they showed the hands right away.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It's always fun when you negotiate whether you run it once, twice, 3 times.
Yeah,
and the guys
you run it 27 times and you're done.
Wait, what do you have a set? Oh, never mind.
So we talk about this a lot,
I hope Eric
running it twice.
buys back in.
What do you guys? How do you guys feel about running it twice? Do you always run it twice? Do you?
I mean, I generally run it twice. I am happy to reduce my variance, but I see very good reasons to run it once, and I kind of have a high level of respect for people who will only run it once.
I'm kind of curious. What's your take on what the good reasons to only run it once would be?
basically, like, if you think that you're more, like, mentally durable and you won't tilt from losing a big pot, but your opponent will tilt potentially from losing a big pot, then it's better to just run it once.
Yeah, that
like,
makes sense.
Yeah, more of the time it gets chopped, and then, you know, no one cares.
Yeah, I can see that. I also think the only other argument other than that I, you know, foresee for not running it twice is it's good for the game in general to have a winner and to have a loser, you know?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So
see, I believe in running it once or 3 times. I don't like to run it twice.
I would love running it 3 times. They
I feel like somebody has to lose something.
Because it always takes so long to figure out. It's just like, I
feel like somebody should lose something.
I feel like everybody gets confused. And
we have a new player. This is your buddy Patrick, right?
Yep.
Patrick's
first hand, ace-high flop. There you go, Pat.
He's got a pair of queens.
Just like
against Ron, who could have anything. See, so I talked to Ron about this earlier today. You guys seem to think that Ron's a tight player when he plays the big game, and through watching him on the stream, we've learned that Ron is anything but tight.
Yeah, he's not tight in the sense
he's
that
got gears.
Yeah, Ron is not afraid to like peel some hands that are very speculative. I think he just you don't see him 4-betting the ace-5 offsuit or something like that. He's not like loose in that sense, but he'll definitely like take a lot of flops and he'll get in there, which I kind of like. I mean, in live poker you get away with taking flops a lot more and stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call him like tight. He's definitely he's a smart guy. Kind of like we talked about Eric, where he's like, there are some recreational players who are going to come into the game and they're just going to be so predictable. It's just like what they're going to have and they're not going to mix it up. And they're Ron and Eric are both smart guys who, as they play, like they learn and they adapt. And
oh man.
So I wouldn't have necessarily. Like, I certainly don't think that Ron is just like, knit tight. I wouldn't call him that at all. Of course, I haven't seen what he's done on the stream. Maybe he's been pulling some extra crazy moves.
I'm going to say
Who is that hot chick on the screen?
So as you can tell, there is a 30-minute delay because that is Miss Danielle Anderson.
Just wandering through the thing.
Standing behind Matt Moore there.
I'm over there advocating for them to do bomb pots. I wish Eric good luck. I did not at this point know that he had already lost needles. Maybe I should have come over earlier and wished him good luck.
Maybe.
My bad.
Say some goodbyes about crypto.
I'm kind of sad that we didn't get to see Ron's hand there. I feel like if I had to guess, he had it. But I love seeing what Ron has when you check back and he pots it or over pots it against people because he's known to do that. And
you played a hand last night with Ron where you got unlucky and Ron hit a 1-outer against you.
Yeah. Well, it's not fair to call it a 1-outer because like there's a bunch of other dead cards that you get to see. So.
Right. Well, we knew that it was a 1-outer because we saw Benton fold the other 8. Mm-hmm. Ron made it $200, 200 pre-flop. In the 25-50, made it 200. You made it 600 with aces. Ron had pocket 8s, and Ron flopped a set of 8s. And there was a point in the hand at the end where, like, you checked the flop on an 8-high board, and you said your reasoning for that was because obviously you wanted Ron to take a bluff at the pot.
Yeah.
But then you almost folded the river.
This is going to be an interesting, not to interrupt you boys, but Ron open was 3-bet by Q. He's got ace-king. Ron flop, I think flop is ace-2-5, so Ron's got top pair and a gutter ball. Yeah.
You led.
He leads, and I think Q just called.
Yeah, it seems reasonable. So this is like...
Q's not thrilled about that turn.
Q actually doesn't mind the turn. He's got the ace of spades, though, right?
Yeah, that is nice.
Yes.
There's 3 spades. I thought one was called. All right, never mind.
Yeah, it's like not the best turn, not the worst turn.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
It's definitely not a turn he's folding anything on.
Ron's stab here is like maybe a little optimistic, right? Because it's hard to get called by worse. Especially when the queen comes off. Like if the queen was like a 7, his ace might be better. But now like queens did get there. Which of like the non-ace hands is a more likely holding for Q when he calls the flop. That said, Ron always has equity because he can hit a 2 or a 4 or whatever.
2-ball, corner pocket, red 2.
2 would be fun.
Well,
that's
a bad
kill
card
all the
for
action,
Ron.
though, right? Yeah, like he can't bluff anymore here, and he can't call a bet, right?
Yeah.
Can't is a strong word. he maybe shouldn't. It doesn't mean that he won't.
Wow, looks like he's thinking about bluffing here.
Wow, this is. I don't hate this line at all. It's not obviously. Oh, there you go.
Goes.
It's not going to work when your opponent has the ace of spades, but like, it's pretty clear when Q calls the turn that he either had some sort of like pair plus spade draw, or he had ace that beats Ron or 2-pair.
Right.
So like turning your hand into a bluff on this river is not like the worst thing ever, you know? Like you at least get like the 2 pairs to potentially fold and stuff. Problem is Q is not like a man who's known for folding. He makes some good folds, but like...
He's kind of taking a long time here. Is he just trying to figure out sizing, or is he posturing, or what do you think?
If you've watched the stream before, you know that slow play is like my biggest pet peeve in poker.
Yeah, I'm not a huge
That's why I love shot clock events.
Stu dropped a pretty sick little Hollywood yesterday.
Quickly folds.
Yeah. I wonder, what did Q bet there? 2,200?
You know, I wish I had the replay set up because
oh, yeah, that'd
you
be
and
sweet.
Stu played a hand together yesterday.
Oh, I thought you meant replay this.
No, yesterday where you had Ace Jack versus Stu's King Queen.
Yeah.
You remember the hand?
Yeah. I was surprised that he had King Queen there for sure.
I thought he played the hand marvelously. No offense to you. I just thought he
no. He got me
played
good. He got me real good.
He played the hand for the most value he could get with the worst hand and got you off the best hand.
I mean, if it wasn't a river diamond, I was going to call. And if I had Ace Jack with a diamond, I would have definitely called him. So it's like a little bit thin, but it worked really well. And also, like, I think it was really sweet in the fact that for him to have enough bluffs for me to want to call with a 1-pair hand, like, he has to have turned like a pretty good pair into a bluff that has a diamond in it, and I didn't expect him to do that. So it was like real sneaky that he pulled that off. I don't know, I really liked it a lot.
I thought he played. I think when people say people play aggressive, there's these misconceptions on what aggressive is. We see the guys who are aggro and raise a lot of flops, pre-flops, and play a lot of pots,
Yeah.
But I thought that Stu played the other type of aggressive, where he put pressure on everybody when he made his hands. He was continually firing and made other people make decisions.
Yep.
Here's an interesting.
Oh,
King Jack, Ace 10.
Patrick should be. If he's going to raise his hand under the gun, I feel like he should be continue betting here. He's not even really expected to have... Like, King Jack's a bit weak to raise under the gun, and generally the hands he raises under the gun are pretty strong, so, like, this type of board doesn't really hit anyone. Like, you have the best, I guess, range in this spot.
You're only really worried about is a flush draw, right? Maybe?
Yeah, I mean, they could have flush draws. They could have, like, something like pocket nines that isn't folding, but there's just plenty of stuff, like, Jack 10 suited and like Ace 10 offsuit and stuff like that are just like going to fold on this board. Even a hand like pocket threes just like is not thrilled to call on the flop. Like it looks like a good board, but when you have pocket threes, even if your opponent has something like Ace 10 with no backdoor flush draw, they could hit a 4 and Ace or a 10. So they have something like 38%. So, and then, you're just drawing dead versus pairs, basically, of like 10% or something. So.
And also, if you're just getting up here, with a hand like King Jack every time under the gun.
Yeah, you're giving
then
up.
it
becomes
makes,
exploitable.
Yeah, then when you do have a hand that, you're going to bet with, it makes it much easier for your opponents to, you got to remain balanced in that spot.
Here's a shot of our lovely Bellagio poker room.
We see it's taking my job already. I love it. Last night we saw a lot of this. Harry, our associate producer, we saw a lot of this King 10 under the gun raises last night. And we've talked about the fact that if you're going to play the hand on the gun, you should be coming in with it. You should be raising with it. And I'm asking because you just said King Jack was a speculative hand to be raising there under the gun. Last night we saw a lot of King X suited raises under the gun. You're not a fan of those plays? Even though you did raise King 10 spades under the gun one time last night.
Yeah, well, King 10 of spades is a way better hand to raise under the gun than King Jack offsuit.
Yeah, there's a really big difference just in the having suited or unsuited in those spots.
Because when you raise under the gun, your chances of taking a multi-way flop with people is at its maximum, right? Like there's just the maximum amount of people behind you that can call. So a hand like King Jack offsuit plays really badly multi-way out of position, but King 10 suited is pretty great. You can make like second nut flush draws. You can make, just like there's more cards you can barrel. Like let's say like the flop is like Jack 9 something 1 spade. You can bet that flop, and then on a 7 turn, like a spade turn, you could barrel all those cards. So like it's just like generally a way better hand to play in that spot.
And also just if you're raising under the gun with all of your king 10 off, all of your queen 10 off, all of your king. If you're raising with all of those, you're just raising too often, and that's just your opponents. Good, competent opponents are going to recognize that, and they're going to exploit that. So a good way to kind of like draw that and keep it a little more balanced is to go with that with the suited hands and just let the offsuit ones go.
Yeah, if I see you raise a hand under the gun at 8 or 9 handed table, and you get to showdown, you have king jack offsuit, I'm just going to start 3-betting the crap out of you.
We have an interesting hand here. It looks like Eric raised to 150.
Is that a promise?
Yeah, no, not you. You'll just 4-bet me.
Eric raised pre-flop with the ace-10 of spades. He made it 150. Stu 3-bet him to 450 with ace-10. He gets called here by D. Choi and Ron. It's a favorable flop for Ron. He's got top pair, backdoor flush draw.
Wait, so who opened this? Oh, Eric opened it and Stu
Eric opened for 150. Stu 3-bet to 450.
It's like a slightly, yeah, this is not too bad.
And Ron's flop top pair here with the jack 10 of hearts.
And Ron's
How do you feel about Stu's 3-bet here?
Yeah, it's like a little light.
Off. Yeah, I mean, it's a little.
If they were like hijack first cutoff or something, was that what they were? Sorry.
Yeah,
they were like
hijack
middle position for hijack. Yeah, it was like hijack first cutoff or cutoff first button. I'd like it a lot more, but it's a bit light. But he's trying to isolate a recreational
player. Yeah, he also,
player.
I think Eric he's probably like recognizing, feels like Eric's a wounded animal. He's kind of lost everything. Sometimes you smell the blood and you can open up your range a little bit
But
there.
for guys like Eric and Ron, and I shouldn't be speaking for them, but the money isn't that significant. You know what I mean? Like, do they become wounded animals in the game?
It's not always about the money. Like, you can have some of the most wealthy people I've played with have also been the people who acted like the biggest babies when they lost small pots. You know what I mean? I mean, people love this game because they're competitive and they come and they want to win. So, in my experience, it doesn't really even come into play that much as far as how much money they have. Nobody likes to come in and get your butt kicked. So
yeah, nobody likes losing. You can play for penny stakes
and there's some people who just handle it, better than others. There's some people who come in and they can just take bad beat after bad beat after bad beat, and they're just like, emotionally stoned. And then there's people who come in and they take one, and you can just see their face turning red, and you can see,
Eric's running up against it tonight. He raises here pre-flop with pocket eights, gets called by Matt and Ron. Ron's got an ace. Eric's going to continue here. You like this continuation bet with this hand?
It's ambitious.
Yeah, a little ambitious. Because you're just going to get called by, like, a lot of hands that have gut shots. Then what do? You just get bluffed on the turn.
And there's the gut shot that you were talking about.
Yeah. I mean, turns out Ron had him beat anyways.
Right.
But
and we don't know what Matt has. Matt does have a mystery hand here.
Matt is getting his classic 3-hour massage at the table.
Man, I can only afford 10-minute massages. I gotta get the pay raise
man,
too.
The life of Matt Moore, he's just killing it.
But with all your CrossFit, do you really need all those massages?
No, that's why. Well, that's not why. I have a bad back. I've always had it. It's gotten better since I've done CrossFit, but that's why you sit. It's just sitting is so bad. I don't know if you've ever noticed. If you're ever in the Bellagio poker room, I probably stand more than anybody in the whole room. I wish that we could have standing poker. It'd be great.
Standing poker? We'll have to talk to gaming about that.
Yeah. Put in a good word.
Looks like Matt has a decision here. Did Matt
yeah, Matt.
I'm wondering what Matt has.
Fairly large raise.
Yeah. It looks like 3,100, 4,100.
Ron says, I don't care. Let's go.
Okay. So
now Ron's kicker is no longer in play. So if he's calling, thinking that Matt, assuming Matt's going to bet here, if he's calling with just an ace, he's assuming that he's, potentially calling just for a chop, which is never really an ideal situation.
Yeah, I think I would expect Matt to have a lot here, and then maybe have something, when he doesn't have it, have something like, our pre-flop is off, by the way. This is a 3-way pot, right?
Yes.
Eric
raised to
don't want to give away all my secrets here on the stream, but in a spot like this where I'm in Matt's seat, whether I have it or not, on a board where it's going to be like a chop pot, I love, overbetting. I feel like this is a really good spot to overbet the pot, to push people off a chop. And also, if I do have ace king,
he bet $5,800 to a $9,800 pot.
Matt, show your hand. Come on.
What is that?
Show the queen.
Queen of diamonds.
That's a good card to have.
Yeah, he might have just had it.
Interesting.
It's kind of a cool spot to bluff, whether you have the queen 10 of diamonds or the queen jack of diamonds. But that river makes me think that he wasn't bluffing. If he actually had 5,800 behind, it seems like I don't think he would bluff for like a third a pot in a run or half pot.
He could have had like queen 9 of diamonds or something in river trips.
Oh yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
Danielle RW8612 wants to know, what's your favorite CrossFit workout?
My favorite CrossFit workout is the one where I get my muscle up, RJ. Thank you. That's my friend RJ. He's goes to my gym, and he's a poker fanboy, so I told him to come harass us in the chat today. I like Grace. I just did Grace today.
What is that? Do I look like I do CrossFit?
It's 30 clean and jerks for time.
Oh.
I feel like you would win all the wrestling matches in this room right now.
Give me a couple more glasses of wine. I'm totally down to wrestle.
I want to see Harry face off against.
I have wrestled Dan Smith in this casino before. Well, no, not in the casino.
Really?
I guess it wasn't in the casino. It was.
I heard you wrestled with a chair in this casino once too.
Yeah. How about this hand here? Woo! And we got somebody
with a chair?
An ace, and
You don't
somebody's
know
got
this
10
story?
high. Nope. And
Google it.
and we're done.
All right.
There are some stories that are meant for live streams, and there are some stories that are not. But if anybody who's listening ever comes up to me in person and asks to hear the story, the chair story, I will tell it.
You tell the chair story.
Yes, but I cannot tell it to the world.
We were worried.
I love you, Craig.
we were worried about you for a while.
Craig is the poker room manager.
He's Mr. Director on the stream.
Mr. Director. Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't know that we had.
Yes, he is generally one of the co-hosts, but he's making way for you guys tonight.
Mr.
Ma'am?
Director was my father's name.
Mr. Director was your father's name. I'm gonna congratulate him, put his business out there. Craig, we talked about he finally got married the other day, and he didn't waste any time. Now he's having a baby, so congratulations. Yeah, he's having a baby girl.
I don't think you're supposed to.
No, he doesn't.
That for
It doesn't matter. What's he gonna do? Fire
He's
me?
not telling people yet, but
Oh my
now you
gosh.
guys.
No.
As long as you guys keep it to yourself, whoever's
No, it's awesome.
Yeah, guys, don't tell anybody. All right.
I'm a dad, so having kids to me is like the greatest thing in the world. And
No,
I know you
of
feel
course it
like
is,
you're
but-
always like you're heartbroken today because you had to explain to your child.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Okay, if anybody has kids that is listening right now, mute it or make sure they get away.
Take it.
But I don't want to ruin anybody else's life. But I had to have the Santa Claus conversation with my son the other day, and it was like, it could not have gone any worse than it went. Like, I wish that it was
what
filmed.
happened?
Oh, the kid's going to be a freaking lawyer. He basically just, like, tore me apart. He was like, he put me on the spot where I couldn't lie. He was like, Mom, I need you to tell me the truth. You have to promise that you're not lying. You know, I tried to get around it. He just wasn't having it. He, like, backed me into a corner, and finally I was like, all right, buddy. And so I told him that it was us, and he's like, I can't believe you've been lying to me for 10 years.
Your son is 10 years old, and you just tell him?
His friends don't know. I checked with the
Wow,
moms. Yeah,
wow.
I think they, like, 11, around that age. And he's like, you've been lying to me for 10 years. How can I ever trust you again? And then I was trying to get him, like, excited about it. I was like, well, hey, buddy. I was like, now it's fun because now you can be in on the fun, and you can, like, with your little cousins, you can help put presents under the tree, you know, whatever.
Oh, that was smart.
And yeah, it was smart, I thought, right? You know what he came back with?
What?
So now you're asking me to lie?
Kids are awesome, aren't they?
Oh my gosh,
Even, like,
it was
stealing the blind.
it was as bad as it could have gone. It was. He cried, I cried.
There's a.
It was.
When my kids were younger,
He's talking to me now, so at
I used to
least.
tell them they could have any 5 things. I used to tell them they could have any 5 things they wanted for Christmas.
He thought, wow.
But they would make a list. But
Got me?
in order to put something on the list, you had to take something off the list. If you want to torment a child, we used to keep the list on the refrigerator, and my son would just stand there and be staring at the list. And I'd be like, what's wrong? He goes, I want that new Raptor robot. Okay, so what are you taking off? I don't know. And he would just stand there for like an hour, like debating on whether or not the the new toy that he saw on TV was more important than the ones he already wanted.
Decisions, man.
Yeah.
And then, the other thing is, as I'm talking to him about it, he's like, can't believe you lie, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, buddy, I was like, think of all the fun memories that you have because of Santa. I was like, when you were 3, how much fun that was and how special that was or whatever. And he goes, yeah, you know what? Now, every time I think of that, all I'm going to think about is how you were lying. And he's like, all those memories are ruined. And I was like, oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God.
So I think the kid, but in the end, I think he basically hustled me, I think. This could be a giant level because he wants a Nintendo Switch for Christmas. And I wasn't going to get it for him because he already has a gaming console. He doesn't need another screen, you know, yada, yada. But now, I feel like I have to not ruin his Christmas because I already freaking halfway ruined it. So now he's got to get it. Yeah, I know. I'm a fish. We
got 2 flush
You know what?
draws here.
If he leveled me like this.
We got a bottom pair here. Is Eric involved in his hand again? He's ahead right now there, but he's against 2 flush draws.
Yeah, he's not that far ahead.
I would actually beg to differ that he's actually way behind here.
Yeah.
With bottom pair on this board.
Is Matt just going to, like, find it? Because I feel like Matt is going to find it.
I think he's just
There's nothing like being against 2 flush draws, though, and they both
find a club.
Oh, well, yeah.
That's kind of that's the Matt more. Oh, wow, that's the 7 of spades.
Oh, wow, that's the 7 of spades. Can you guys believe it?
I can't believe it's not the 7 of clubs.
Holy hell.
Me and Matt had a conversation the other day.
Eric's going to win this pot with bottom
Oh,
pair.
man, that would be so sweet.
Deuce of diamonds on the river.
I don't know how this conversation came up, and I don't know how
River to 6.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
but
yeah, Matt's
Eric
going to win the pot.
could take a shot.
So Matt's not going to win 20K, but he will win the pot.
Well, Eric's in position. Eric might fire here, assuming that everybody missed their draw.
You think he'll turn into a bluff?
He just quickly.
Yeah.
He could. I think had he not been so beaten down and defeated at the moment, he maybe would have considered that, but I can't blame him for.
So, like, one of the things, if you watch the stream, apparently everybody can just walk into Bellagio and flop sets. It happens all the time on the stream. The other thing that happens is that set over set happens a lot on this stream. What's the worst spot you think in poker? Set over set's pretty bad, right? Like,
it's not great.
I mean, it's
not very fun.
I mean, it's one of the
it's not as bad as finding out Santa does, and you know, but it's not fun.
And then he's like, I suppose now you're going to tell me that the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny are fake too, huh? It's all just a lie. Oh, my gosh.
Wait, really?
Yeah, sorry, Jesse. Poor Jesse. Just ruined his night.
I mean.
Oh, parenting is hard.
I know there's no Tooth Fairy, but I still find chocolate around the house.
I find chocolate around the house like 6 months after Easter. I'm like, oh, shit, look at that.
That's awesome.
There's an egg.
I leave chocolate for one day, and it's gone. Ashley,
chocolate does not survive at my house.
Yeah, Ashley eats all my chocolate.
Eric's got another pocket pair here. Let's talk about play. This is a great flop for Eric's hand, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a great flop for Ron's hand, though, too, right? I mean.
Yes.
As Scott Seaver once said to me, Eric has pretty much top pair and a gut shot. This is a really nice spot.
Right. Did Eric, he just calls here. Do you like the call, or should Eric be raising here?
I missed what the. I guess I. Did Ron lead out here?
Q led.
Okay.
Ron check, Q bet.
Call's fine because you could raise later in the hand, and because you would probably play all your straights and sets the same way, so you want to be consistent. Like you would. You don't really have a reason to raise on this board. You could raise, but like generally you're going to be calling.
I would like to know what Q has here.
I don't know, but if Eric could raise this turn, I think he just gets away with like a lot.
Yeah, I would like a raise on this turn a lot.
I mean, his 6-8 got there too.
Ron folded his straight, so his Broadway he would have made, or his.
Well, he could raise this.
I'm actually surprised. I was actually surprised that Ron folded here when
for
he was
900.
Oh man, if Eric raised this river, it would be really sweet. He is literally the best hand to raise the river with if Q bets. And if Q checks, betting like 6.5K would be really sweet too.
Q doesn't look like he's going to check.
What did Q just bet?
Like 14. And Eric snap folds.
Oh man, I really want to see Eric go like 8K.
I want to see Q's hand.
Yeah, true.
We should make it a rule that it's like a penalty if they don't adequately
they're playing the
show the
one.
hand.
They're showing one. So
yeah, but they should be showing
they have to show us both.
Yeah, that's on our and not their end. Like we apparently missed that.
No, I'm going
apparently
to have a talk with Q later.
I refuse to. I'm blaming Q.
This is a bunch of bullcrap, Q.
Bellagio Poker on the Scripture Watch. That's what you're watching, as you can tell on the screen. I'm your host, Dallas Scott. I got superstar co-hosts like Jesse Sylvia and Danielle Anderson. Jesse, I got a question for you. So you take second place in the WSOP main event. Do people come up to you on the street and say you played hands badly, or why did you do that, or like, do they ask you about that?
Occasionally.
Yeah.
I had a pretty controversial bust-out hand heads up, so I have a lot of people that have. Some people have been like, yeah, some people have been like, you know, what were you doing? And some people have been like, so what were your thoughts in that hand? But like, I know what it means either way. I'm actually like pretty okay with the hand, but it's just funny. Like you get a lot of.
I do not remember the hand.
Oh, it's not a big deal.
Because I didn't even know him at the time, but like, I only remember because I remember Vanessa Selps was your coach, and I remember seeing her reaction in the stands.
Yeah.
And at the time, not knowing either of you that well, I thought that was just kind of funny.
She did think I had King 5 and not the Queen Jack, so it makes a little more sense. But yeah, whatever. It's it's actually kind of like a raise call that people make a lot in cap games and stuff, but it looks a little weirder when you make it heads up in the main event.
If I remember right, too, wasn't just momentum just going like all against you, kind of?
No, we had like kind of went back and forth. I think it was up like.
Was it Merson or which was it?
Merson, yeah.
Yeah, Merson. Yeah. There's so many WSOP main events that I don't think it's.
Oh, I hear you.
How long ago was that? Was 2010? 12?
Yeah.
So has life changed much for you lately in 5 years? I mean, like.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, a lot of things change. Like I don't spend a lot of money on like silly stuff, and you know, now I worry less about buying things and stuff. But like, it probably changed a lot less for me than like other people. But it just like allowed me to like, you know, travel and play tournaments on my own bankroll and all that stuff, which is really cool.
How many bullets did you fire into the 5-diamond main event last year?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah. I've been in for one every single year somehow. I keep making it to the re-entry period closing and then busting. I actually went kind of deep last year, but yeah, every year I've fired just one. It's been kind of crazy.
Do you?
I know Negreanu's average is like 8.
Here.
Oh, let's go. Oh,
it's a 7-deuce game.
Yeah,
200 ahead.
Oh, I
it's
forgot.
A 7-deuce game.
Okay.
Right.
Do we know how much they're getting?
Oh,
man.
200 a person.
Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Is Choi gonna peel?
No, he's gonna.
Yeah, it looks like
just
he's peeling.
At 900.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like, so generally you want to be 4-bet or folding, but he is in position, and he could be doing this with like as strong as. Well, he could be doing it with all of his hands. In reality, he's probably doing this with as strong as like kings and re-raising, aces for sure, and sometimes kings. Maybe he's a little bit lighter.
Unfortunately for Eric, we know that there are 2 deuces and a 7 gone already, so like his 2 pair options are really.
Yeah.
He does have the only straight.
Choi, man, he is good at the jack.
Oh no, he doesn't have the only straight. The queen makes it. He can't. Eric's drawing dead in the spot.
Well, if we get Stu to fold.
Yeah, if Stu would fold, he wouldn't technically be drawing dead.
Unfortunately, if Eric continues with this hand, it's not in good shape. Stu's going to fold.
Easy game, just flop top set.
Yep, that's told you. You come play Bellagio pots, everybody flop sets. It's amazing. Like
you should never play a hand that doesn't have
a pair.
A pair, yeah. It doesn't make sense because.
But be aware of the set over sets.
If they're flopping a set, all you can flop, the best you can flop is trips, unless you're suited. Then you can cool it though. See that? That's deep strat right there.
What did you say? You can't flop a straight if somebody flops a set?
Oh, I didn't think about it.
Yeah. Have another glass of wine, Jesse.
Oh, man.
Forgot about those pesky.
Danielle, why do you not like tournaments?
It's not that I don't like tournaments. I love tournaments. I think they're fun. I think I'm decent at them. It's just that for my life, I don't like leaving the house and not knowing if I'm going to be gone for 2 hours or for 12 hours. You know, it's just like the freedom of cash games allow me to just come and go as I want. And also just the variance of tournaments. You know, the best poker players in the world, they can go for ages without cashing anything. And cash games are just a little more consistent.
And people like me can just final table random.
Yeah, and then there's other people, other a-holes who can just final table and then just count their money for the rest of their life. So
I have a friend, Neil Scott. He has 63 WSOP circuit cashes. He just got his first ring, like last week. at Planet Hollywood, the circuit event at Planet Hollywood.
Nice.
63 cashes.
Oh, that was like yesterday.
Yeah, like well, no, he didn't win the main event. He won one of the smaller events.
Well, there's Lee Markle, right?
Yes.
Unbelievable player, great player. At one point, I believe that he was leading like the WPT in a number of caches, but just a great player.
Right.
And we were talking once about the main event, and at that point, I think he had gone it was something like 0 for 13 in the main event or something like that, just like caching. And I was just like,
which, by the way, if you're like I think Lee's a very solid, very good player.
Yeah, Lee's one. Yeah.
If you're at like Lee's skill level, like you should be cashing the main event something like 22% of the time. Like it's just like the best structure, so you have the best chance of any tournament to cash. And so it's like so sick that he went over 13.
Stu with the aces.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this was the first year I've played it. Gosh, maybe 7 times. This was the first year that I cashed in it.
This is a very small 3-bet.
And it was so much. It was so much fun. It was probably the most fun I've ever had playing poker. Just when
Did Matt fold ace jack here?
Yeah, that makes sense.
It was 3-bet. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, David is not all in here for 475, guys. Just that graphic is wrong. David has plenty of chips behind.
David's played pretty snug so
he has
far.
at
I'd
least
be curious as to
9,000
what he
behind.
has.
Oh, yeah. David is pretty short, though.
Yeah.
No, but that's actually not right.
No.
He has
He's
at
got
least 6 behind, it looks like.
That graphic is wrong.
Yeah, he's got like 7 or 8 to start.
I thought it was all black, but it looks like he's got 2, 4, 5, 6,
See, earlier
7.
when
He's
it
got
had
7.5.
stack sizes, I thought that only said he only had about
It says he had
5K.
5. Yeah, no, he's
But
got
no? More?
the graphic is wrong.
He's betting half pot.
Looks like he's betting 1,100.
Yeah, there's some small bets. I kind of like this.
David pump faked like he thought he looked like he was going to just call there, and something stopped him.
Yeah, I think he probably has a hand that's like a call for this size, like King Jack or something. But he's like, oh man, I kind of feel like I'm never gonna win. Kind of like how I felt about aces with Ron yesterday. It's like a very easy call fundamentally, but I call it me and my friend call it it feels rotten. Like when you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach, like it's like supposed to be a call, but you're like, I'm just not going to win here.
One thing I've learned in live poker that took me a little bit was that you just kind of, like most of those times when you have those instincts and you're not sure why or where they're coming from, tend to be spot on. And I've been wrong so many times where I've like gone against what I actually thought, and then I'm like, you idiot. You know, I like talk myself into it. I'm like, well, pot odds call over and blah, blah, blah. And in some respect that is applicable. But there's sometimes too when like there's some alarm bells going off, and you just got to kind of learn when to listen to those.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the
Have you read
the line of thought.
Have you read the word? Yeah, Blink. Malcolm Gladwell.
I was going to say, yeah.
If you're a poker player interested in that kind of stuff, there's a book, Malcolm Gladwell. It's called Blink, and it's about all those little things that our brain processes that we don't even like begin to comprehend what they're processing, and so we can like look at something and your initial reaction tends to be, more accurate than once you cognitively start to go through it. And I think that applies a lot in live poker. You see something, you're like, I don't know why this doesn't feel right, but this just doesn't feel right.
For sure. And if you can ever line up any sort of logic with that, I generally would say to go with that because your subconscious is just so smart.
What was your biggest leak and that was hardest thing for you to get rid of?
I don't know.
Tilt.
Yeah, tilt's a good one,
Been an issue for me. Like,
oh, man. Really?
Yeah,
I feel like tilt is usually the toughest issue for Yeah.
No, I just.
Are you a robot?
No, I just. You know what it is? It's growing up playing limit poker in Minnesota so often that you just take so many beats in the game, you just become numb to it. Like, it's just because somebody once told me there's no such thing as a bad beat in limit poker because you're always giving somebody pot odds to call. So you just, when I transferred to no limit, I just the same mindset that like.
When I first started playing poker and I was playing online poker, I was like a lone fish in the sea. Like I didn't have any friends that played poker. I didn't know about
just 3-bet a 7 deuce.
Message boards. Go David.
Yeah, same here actually. Well, I had message boards, but I didn't know anyone, and it's way tough.
I just had no idea, and so and like emotionally, I was just like, if I lost, hey, we got our first 7 deuce winner, I think, right?
Nice. There you go, David.
Had a boy David in the game. I like it. Pay the man his money. Now, in this game, if you're not at the table, do you still have to pay,
no.
do you know?
Looks like it.
Yeah,
Just
I like it.
Sometimes they do. You do pay if you're not at the table, and sometimes you don't. Yeah.
But when I would play, if I had a good day, it was like I was in a good mood. And if I had a bad day, I was just like my wins or losses dictated how my day and mood was going to be. And that, and then once I became a parent, once I got pregnant, like it was like, okay, that's got to stop. And so it's just like been kind of a slowly getting better and better and better. I feel like it very, very rarely is a problem now. You're going to have times you're going to come home and you're going to be like, you know? But for the most part, it's not really that much of an issue anymore. But I really had to work at that. That's tough.
Yeah. What about for you, Jesse?
I think it's probably like mental laziness. Like I would...
Well, that's what happens when you bank the main event for second place. You just sit at home and count your money.
Yeah, no, but I like even then, like I wanted to be like I was excited about that because I could go play a bunch of tournaments around the world and try to be like one of the better tournament players. And even though I was just getting into tournaments because I mostly played cash at the time, I feel like there was like a long period in my life where like when I studied, I would also be like watching TV or something, and like my time spent like preparing myself in poker and like playing were often like I was giving it like 80% of my attention or 75% of my attention, and I wasn't spending enough time with it, and I wasn't doing it in a very organized way where like now I might be like, okay, today I'm going to work on figuring out this, this, and this, and like having a plan of approaching it so that I could like maximize my time. And like I think that's like one thing that people who come from like a different background, like let's say you were like a day trader or like a lawyer or something, you come into poker, you're much better at organizing your day out so that you maximize, you know, how much you gain from your day with poker. And I was just like this ragtag kid who kind of finished college and was playing poker a lot and like had some decent like instincts and stuff. And
was that your first main event?
No, that was my second main event. So pretty close.
Eric picked up queens here.
Maybe you can get some money back here.
I'm definitely... I mean, I don't want to anti-sweat anybody. I like all these guys, but Eric's had a rough go of it. I got to give him my run good right now.
I like that he's only in for 5K because that makes it much tougher for Q to call and flop a set against him.
Did Ron just flat?
Although Q is going to call.
Gamble. Ron, I think Ron just flatted out of the big blind, flatted the 3-bet with 7-8 suited here.
Well, he knows Q's coming along. He's like, Q could flop a set, but I could make a straight and a flush, so... Going back to that.
Should Eric continue here with the queens? Should he fire a continuation bet?
Shuffle up and trill. It is thin slicing that we were talking about.
Define thin slicing. We'll wait till after the hands on.
Purple might be bad for the king.
Yay, Eric.
Define the thin slicing again.
I haven't read the book in years, but I think the general concept of thin slicing is that like your subconscious figures things out like it's instinctual, like immediate instinctual feeling about something is generally more accurate than if you spend a lot more time with it. Like your first instinct is almost always right once you become an expert at something. Like the example that they used was there was this the
art, right?
Yeah,
I was gonna mention that.
Some guy found like this like old Greek art, and he brought it to this museum, and they were about to pay something absurd, like $40 million for it, and it was these statues, and they did like 8 different tests, like on like you know, if the marble had aged for that many thousands of years, and like all these things, and they all passed. And one of the tests that they had was they brought out a guy who's just been an art aficionado his whole life. He came out and he looked at it, and he just immediately went, it's funny, I'm like getting chills just telling this. He immediately goes, I hope you didn't pay for it yet. And they go, well, we just did. And he's like, I think you just got ripped off. And they're like, why? He's like, I don't know. I just, like, I've studied just Greek art my whole, like Greek sculptures my whole life. He's like, this isn't legitimate. I can't tell you why, but I just feel like it's not legitimate. And they finally, like, they started really looking into these studies, or these diagnoses of different aspects of it, and they realized like he had created a new way to age stone very quickly, so it looked like it was a couple thousand years, and all these things started coming up, and they realized that it was fake. And to this day, the guy's like, I don't know how I knew. It just felt off to me.
I think to like add to that story, I think it was like one guy initially, but then after that, like I think they interviewed a few people, and like all of the same one, like they said the same thing. Like this piece of art, it met like all of the qualifications.
But there was just something
that it needed,
in their gut.
But they all took one look at it, and they're like, no, you know, and they're like, I can't tell you why, but it's not. there's something, it's not authentic, you know, and like by the book, by the checklist, it should have been, and then come to find out that they were all right. So
we were talking about leagues. Like, I think that it's always been a problem of mine, is that when I know my opponent is weak, but I am weak also, like hands that I know I should be raising, and I could get my opponent off, like they should fold. Like if I raise here, there's no. Instead, I'm calling because I know they're weak and just hoping that my weakness is better than their weakness, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of a like. Okay, I got middle second pair, but I know you're weak too. And come to find out, your second pair, your kicker is better than mine. You know, kind of thing. Like,
well, there's also like the whole idea of like, they say think long, think wrong.
Right.
That's probably coming from the concept of like your immediate instinct is right, just go with it.
Right.
I remember I had this hand in the main event where Greg limped the small blind, and I checked the big blind with something like 10-6 or something. And the flop was like ace 10-5, 2 spades, and Greg bet like 3/4 pot. And I like went to call because it's like very, very clearly a call. And I like stopped, and I was kind of like, oh, this feels really bad. Like I feel like I want to fold. And I started thinking about it because I'm not just going to fold because my instincts are like fold. I started thinking about it. I was like, oh, yeah, well, he has been checking these sort of boards a good amount and like delayed c-betting his bluffs. And when he does bet, he usually has some sort of draw, and he usually follows through a lot. So like even if I do call, like I'm going to have to fold on most turns anyways, so I'm probably not profiting. And so finally I just like folded. And he ended up having an ace, and Antonio like went nuts in the booth because he's like, "How does he just like fold?"
Right.
But it was like one of those perfect little moments in your life where like little things come together, and you trust your instincts, and it all works out. And like if you could just have that happen every single time, I feel like you'd be like a superhuman poker player.
Greg he played one of my favorite final tables ever because there was no Hollywood. Like he just like if he bet and got raised and he didn't have it, he just mucked. Like let's just get on to the next hand. There's no. It's Hollywooding for the cameras. There was no. Let's get on. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I respected that because there's so much of this. What we used to call the Tom Dwan effect, where like people just tank and just wait and just. I think it's killed poker for novice players coming in.
Well, and I don't mind. There's some hands where it gets complicated. You have to go through thought process.
3 King Me 3, by the way, is Mikey D.
Oh.
Mikey D is 3 King Me 3 because Mikey D plays chess, and if I recall correctly, Mike is nearing a 1260 rating in chess, which I think you start at like a 1400. So nice. He is a chess aficionado of the rarest kind.
I just want to throw it out that the last time I was on the stream, or the first time, Mikey D was there, and half of the chat was about how my arms were better than Mikey D's. So I'm just...
Wow.
Well, your arms are better.
Well, I know, but
wow.
They talked about it, It was great. What's up, Mikey?
That is inaccurate.
Can you watch him?
Mikey says that's inaccurate. All right, guys, we're going to, next time Mikey and I are on the stream, we're going to have a
This is on YouTube.
voting.
Harry, am I correct? It is on YouTube, so we do have... archivable proof of this, right? So it is on YouTube.
Dmoongirl versus Mikey D arms.
How about an arm wrestling match?
Well, not arm wrestling match.
Let's do arm wrestling.
No, he's a guy. I mean, that's not a.
I don't know.
But we're just talking about pure aesthetic. Appeal.
She's saying she's better looking than you, Mikey. That's what she's saying.
This is good. This is real-time virtual needling.
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of this. I think.
By the way, earlier when I was talking about the friend that we just get in really light versus each other, that was Mikey D. So our entire relationship is built off of giving each other a whole lot of crap.
And you funny because you talked about
great guy though. By the way, ladies, he's single. Ready to mingle.
I talked to Mike. Mike,
those
of
white
course,
arms.
Won the WPT. He won the WPT up at Thunder Valley last year. Main event, he beat Sorrel Mizzi, who was actually supposed to play in our game tonight, but actually Sorrel got sick, so he wasn't able to play tonight. But you were talking about, like, you don't spend a lot of money on stuff or anything like that. And one of the things I talked to Mike about was when you finally win that WPT title and you have that, what's the first thing you buy? He said he bought a pair of boots.
Oh, yeah.
Like, of all the things in the world, maybe that's why he's still single, because he bought those boots.
Oh, we got Dallas coming in here with the...
I mean, he bought some pretty expensive boots. He also went out and he spent a considerable amount of his winnings or net worth or whatever on Bitcoin. So that was a good move by Mike. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe a couple other altcoins. I'm not thinking.
We have this conversation around here a lot about cryptocurrency. Like poker players love it.
It's impossible to be at the poker table without talking about cryptocurrency these days.
Yeah, like poker players love it, and then like the financial world's kind of split down the middle about it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they'll come around.
You think so?
Well, there's a ton of institutional money getting involved now, and more and more like hedge funds and stuff are opening up some percentage of their funds to primarily Bitcoin.
Can we get back to talking about Mikey's arms? I'm so tired of talking about crypto.
Yeah, fair enough.
God, we got to bring in Harden for his
Mikey's arms
Harden
are
facts
so
here
flaccid.
Talk about crypto. I'd rather hear John Harden talk about Earth's gravitational pull and rotation and whatever the hell he was spouting off about last night.
Looks like our
who is this?
I tuned in last night for just like I had like 5 spare minutes and I tuned in and John Harden is like, it's time for Harden facts, and he's like pulls out some random science, like he was like Bill Nye the Science Guy, only I was like, what is happening right now? And then I said, well, at least we're gonna sound good today, right? Because I mean,
yeah, we got science facts. You guys ready for this? Science. Magnets. How do they work?
They are cool.
Yes.
Science.
Larry King.
Science. Wine makes everything more awesome.
Yeah, Cue Ball just got away with one there.
Well, he had an open ender. He bet the open ender against Detroit's got shot. That's kind of a standard kind of play there, though, right? Like,
can we talk about Ron's shirt for a second? Because Ron Quarry, this guy is always dressed to the nines. He's always got like super nice shirts on, and I don't think I've ever seen him wear the same ones twice.
Now that you mention it, I don't think I've ever seen Ron wear the same shirt twice.
No.
No.
He is so known for his shirts that I have been in stores before, and I'm like, I need to tell Ron. Ron should have this shirt. Start buying him shirts. The man has style. I like it.
Ron is the man. I always have so much fun playing with him, talking to him.
He's very
just a really
smart.
good dude.
Very smart. Like his business acumen is like, you know what I mean?
He's got a lot going on. Even
he does,
like pseudo retirement, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Like he's got a lot of. Like Matt flops a straight. Now this is more the Matt Moore that we've been looking for the last hour.
Just flop it.
Just flop it. Matt doesn't.
I wish we could turn that King of Spades into a
King of
club just to make it a little more interesting.
Yeah. No, but
Stu raised this pre-flop to 150. Matt called out of the small blind and just flops second nuts. And he raises here?
Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, obviously you can raise because you have a straight, but it's like it's a little bit like telling your hand away, because when Matt calls, from there, like Stu has a huge range advantage where he can have like kings and jacks, and Matt probably re-raises those hands, so he can't really have them. So it's like for Matt to raise on that board, he has to have a pretty damn good hand to.
But if he flats there, he gives away the strength of his hand also, correct? Because
because then he
totally
can have stuff
yeah.
like 9-10 or like Jack Queen and like pretty weak hands that he could be barreled off of. Yeah.
And also he's got position. I mean, he can flat there with just a naked queen, and then when it's checked to him on the turn, take a stab at it, and if it gets called, he's still got equity in the hand.
We'd like to thank our producer Harry Corvese. He has actually posted a picture of Mike Del Vecchio and the suspect arms on. Okay. There's a link. So ladies, if you're looking,
Oh, what do you think of that, Mike?
Playing matchmaker. Do you have a Tinder account, Mike? That's
no, really. Okay, in all
Mike's
seriousness,
got a Tinder
Mikey really is great.
No one's gonna like.
Mikey, if there's any nice, cute ladies out there,
but I was saying if we all play
Mike's your guy.
Yeah,
you know how nice Mikey is? I mean, I like a lot of guys.
I'm pulling the wine over here from.
No,
seriously, ladies, Mikey is like
Mikey
the best.
is the greatest. Yeah. No, but like, Mike's one of my good guy friends, and I've been married for 13 years. Mike's friend with my husband. My husband and I are very happy. Mike and I are very platonic friends. But I was sick one time, and he felt so bad for me. He ordered ice cream to be delivered to my house. Isn't that just the sweetest thing ever?
That is very nice.
See, he needs a girlfriend.
And he's not even from Minnesota, and he's nice like that.
Yeah, right? He's from New York, I think, or somewhere East Coast.
Supposed to be all hardened.
He must.
Where are you from, Jesse, originally?
Massachusetts.
Oh, really?
I'm actually headed back there tomorrow morning.
I have bad luck with women from there.
With women from there?
Yeah.
How many do you have
dude.
from there from Massachusetts?
Women from there are rough, man.
3?
Yeah.
Woo!
Eric's got the 7 deuce
You
here.
date a couple of girls from Dorchester?
I wish it was that, like, Boston and Fall River, New Bedford.
Oh, man.
He's just like, oh, not that
Oh,
area.
man. New Bedford's rough, dude.
Yeah.
That's like the, I come from a very Portuguese family on my dad's side, and they're all from, like, fishermen from New Bedford. It's a fisherman place.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't know what you're saying. Could you elaborate a little, please? Eric is, again, just going to run into a spot where it's fine normally to 3-bet with the 7 deuce here, but unfortunately, he's just running into a hand.
You don't think he'll get the pocket queens to fold after raising the button?
I'm going to go ahead and bet my
And Matt just flats
life
here.
savings. No.
Oh, whoa, Eric.
7 deuce one time.
Matt just called.
Yeah, Matt just flat. This is a good board. This
Yeah,
might help
actually,
Eric out.
He might win this.
Yeah.
This is kind of sweet because a lot of his hands besides 7 deuce that would 3-bet bluff usually have an ace in them.
Right.
Like a good hand to re-raise is ace-5 suited, so Matt's like not thrilled on this.
As soon as Eric grabbed chips, Matt kind of sat up and from his massage and was like,
Is Matt just gonna straight fold?
no, he was like,
No,
dang
he's
it.
gonna
I
call
think he'll
one.
peel one off here.
Yeah.
But one of the hands that Matt would be likely to 3-bet and then call a 4-bet with here are like ace king, ace queen. And
But Eric is repping that
But,
hand,
well,
though,
yeah,
right?
actually,
Is
yeah,
it by
actually Matt's much more likely to. If he's got ace king, he's probably
That's
just
a great card for
ripping
Eric.
it.
Oh my
though, right?
God.
That's a
Well,
great card for Eric.
The question is,
One
does
time.
Eric shut down because he made a pair? Hopefully not,
No.
because he's not beating enough. You know, he needs to like. He has a good hand to semi-bluff now. He's like a flush draw and a pair.
He's got a flush draw
He
pair. He can make 2 pair. Make trips.
But sometimes people, especially people who aren't like pros, you know, they make a pair and then they're like, oh, I might win now.
Just so you guys know, because on
Nice,
the top
he's
screen here,
betting.
the ones that are shaded out, oh, it's a great bet. $2,100 into a
Yeah.
$32 pot.
Nat is going to go to Fold Town and he's going to be handing Eric an extra $100. Boom, ski.
Yes! Needles!
Oh, got
And
him.
everybody but Matt Moore likes that.
It's got to feel good when you don't just get one guy, you get the whole table with your
yeah,
bluff. Yeah.
Finally, Eric
I
on the
like
winning
it.
side of a pot here, and he has to have the 7 deuce to do it.
I like it.
Sometimes you just got to earn it, you know? Sometimes they give it to you, sometimes you got to work a little harder for it.
Hey, man, pocket kings, you know, flush draws, these aren't the hands.
Right.
7 deuce.
Yeah, those are
Well, there's not
easy.
enough of those hands, right? You got to be able to mix it up. Right?
Yeah.
There's not enough pocket kings, queens, aces.
Somebody's not going to punt it off for $100. I'm like, well, looks like I'm gonna.
It's the principle, right?
Right.
You got to play the hand.
You got a big draw.
I was having a run in tournaments years ago where I was just running deep and making cashes, but they were all min cashes. And a player I'm not going to mention, I was talking to him about it on a break one tournament. He goes, "You're just playing too tight. You got to play more hands. You know, you got to widen up your range." He's like, "Pick a hand that's your hand, and next time somebody raises you 3-bet, you have it. You 3-bet that hand, just to change up your image and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, mix it up a little bit." I did that. I picked the hand. I ran
You picked
into ace.
8-10, didn't you?
I did.
Why, have you
And-
seen him with the 8-10 or something?
Secrets.
No, it's a Minnesota thing.
Oh.
And it's actually called the Dallas at Canterbury Park.
It's a Minnesota thing?
It's called a what?
10-8.
I was not aware of this.
What do you want?
How'd you guess 10-8 then?
Because I'm just that good.
Wow.
10-8 suited. It's just
Yeah,
every.
it is.
No, I think you mentioned it like a long time
I
ago.
did.
And I remember
10-8
for
of
some
hearts.
reason.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I was going to let you just
Yeah.
perpetuate your lie like you did with your
This
child.
is why you guys
So
don't ever try and bluff me at the table, guys. Because these are the
I was going
type
to let
of
her go with
reads
her
I
lie,
have.
and then I was going to send this clip to her son so she sees what kind of liar she. No.
Oh,
KV Cross asked Danielle, why aren't you playing?
because I'm drinking white wine in the booth.
Because you can't, there's not enough audio pickup out there to make fun of Mike D, an appropriate amount for D-Moon.
Yeah, I don't know. They asked me a couple weeks ago if I'd be willing to do commentary for this, and I said yes. And
Have you done commentary before? Jesse, you've done commentary on different shows.
Yeah.
I've like popped in the booth here and there. Most of the time I've done commentaries been with David Tuckman who's a good friend of mine. He does a lot of stuff for.
Yeah.
He was doing like Poker Night in America, and yeah, I'll pop in here and there every once. So I enjoy it. I think
you did stuff with Jason Somerville, right?
Oh yeah, and
What
Jason
did you do with
Somerville.
him?
Yeah, it wasn't so much commentary, but he had like a live stream type thing, and I would go on and just we'd have fun. He has got his Running Up Warriors. Jason, he's got like a great thing going. What he's created with his. I mean, he's created a whole community of.
Right.
It's just awesome. But yeah, I had a lot
Harry,
of fun with him.
our associate producer, was a big fan of the Run It Up tournaments until his last airball.
Uh-oh.
How many events did you play, Harry? All of them?
I saw Harry out there. I went out. It was fun.
Yeah, I usually go to most of the Run It Up events in Reno.
No,
It's
Bellagio
so much
does
fun.
not have a bad beat jackpot or high hands, and there's a reason why we don't. Because most players here don't want it. Bad beat jackpots.
Yeah, we
or
don't.
high
Well,
hands.
it's not that we don't want it. We just don't want to pay the rate for it. It's just usually, it's just not a.
I don't.
Deal.
I try not to play places that have bad beats or high hands.
Yes, you're paying like 50% to like the casino, and then
Right.
yeah, it's pretty sick.
Well,
It's
actually,
like
in
the
Nevada,
sucker bet out at the tables.
Which, by the way, I'm up so much money on the sucker
Really?
bets.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I'll like
I'm gonna
not
call-
play them, and then the people next to me get so mad that I'm not playing it, and they're like, "Don't you see the jackpot?" And I'm like,
yeah. How do you
and
play
my
Pai
husband's
Gow and
on
not
his
play the
phone,
bonus?
like my husband's like naturally just a nit, so he's like on his phone calculating, like, no, it needs to be at $72,642 before it's plus EV to pay the dollar.
Your husband's a teacher, right? Does he teach
Yeah,
math?
he's a teacher. No, he doesn't teach math, but he's like the smartest person I know. He's way better at math and stuff like that than I am.
Do you go home and talk? You have a husband who's not a poker player.
Right.
Do you go home and talk poker to him, and is he like, "Oh
No.
my God, please shut up," or does
No. I mean, every once in a while I'll tell him like an interesting hand every once in a while, but we don't. It's not like I'm breaking down strategy with him or anything.
he? How do you separate poker and home life?
It's easy. I leave and I go home, and then it's home. That's actually, I used to play online poker for a living, and when I moved here, I transitioned to live, and that's one of my favorite things about it is when I'm here, I'm playing poker, and then when I'm home, I'm just home. Whereas it used to be with online poker, I was constantly like checking the tables, and oh, this person's playing, so now I have to play, and I'd have the laptop out while I'm eating dinner with the family, and I just was never fully there, So I feel like this is I go to the office and then I'm done and I go home and then I'm home. It's great.
I do the
Patrick's
same
raised-
thing, and I love that so much.
Yeah,
It's such a great, yeah.
People always ask me, one of the most frequent questions I get asked is like, how do you balance having a family and playing poker? And I'm always like, how do you balance not having a family and playing poker? 'Cause I'd go nuts.
So Patrick is raised here under the gun with queens.
Patrick's on round 2 of Queens. He's trying harder this
Yes,
time.
this is a little better flop for him. Interesting
Although no
check
one
there.
hit
Second round.
anything, so.
What do you think? Patrick's your buddy here. What do you think of his check on that flop?
I mean, I would just bet with these players in the pot. I don't think anyone's like going to do anything too crazy to exploit us, get us to fold. But I have way more experience with these players than him. So, like, if he thinks that...
I think he also might be feeling like he's hardly played a hand. He probably has he's thinking that the table's thinking he's super knit tight. And so he might be thinking that if he bets, his hand is just completely face up. Because I've gotten myself into those like leveling things. And
also, if you bet and you get raised, yeah, you have an overpair, but like you're not doing very well versus the type
you're
of
not
hands
thrilled
that
about
raise
it.
you, so you might have to fold. So he took a line where he could induce light bets, and he also doesn't ever have to fold. Like, he can just check call. Or if it goes like, if he checks and it goes bet, raise, then he can just fold and save money. Yeah, and this is sweet because now he's going to induce a river bluff from Eric.
If he finds a call.
Yeah. I mean, enough stuff missed that he probably finds a... Well, it was 3 ways, so Ron could have a draw.
Well, Ron folded, so now it's just... he bet... Let's see, the pot is... Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I think
he's
going to
snapping.
call. Yeah,
Patrick, by the way, I didn't want to give this away, but Patrick is not known for his big folds. So he's snapping this one off.
He's fine with that. I'm not that familiar with him as a player, but just in this
Nice hand,
short
Patrick.
sample size we have here, he hasn't played too many hands. So.
Yeah. No, I just meant like if he's getting to a river and you're giving him a good price.
Yeah, he's...
Which is like, I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like, if I get to a river and you give me a good price,
yeah,
I'm also not known for folding.
I
I know you're not known for folding, so...
No, it's not my specialty either.
We're 0 for 3 on people known for folding so far. Do you fold much?
Sometimes there's just a curiosity price, you know? Like,
dude, people will bet $10, I have the nut low, and I call. Like 5-10. I'm just like, I got to know what
I'm
you
probably
got.
as guilty as a curiosity call as everybody else.
Yeah.
I have this, I don't know, like... I feel like I go with my gut in situations like that. I feel like if I was Patrick, my gut would have told me that queens were the best hand there, though. Like the way the hand played out, I don't. Eric had position on the table. If he has a jack on the flop, he bets there, right?
Exactly. That's the issue.
So maybe Eric's got a hand like 9-10, King-10 or something like that he thinks he's betting for value on the river there. Like, there's so many reasons why I think Patrick was right to call there. You know what I mean? Like,
No, you're absolutely right. That's part of the reason why checking can be really good is that you get people to bet their jack for value protection.
Right.
So when they don't, then their hands really face up, for sure. That's like a huge part of poker is when you start understanding all those little minutia details about spots where you can check and stuff.
Everybody kind of bricks here.
Whoever bets should win.
Yeah, takes a stab first should win it. But
I'm rooting for Ron.
What does Ron have? Ron has the King-6. No.
Ron's not a favorite to bet because, maybe he will.
Ron can't win, Eric
can
be the winner.
If Q bets here, Eric's calling, right?
Oh, at this point, Eric's probably going to win the pot.
Yeah, Eric's for sure.
Yeah, Eric's.
No, I
didn't realize Eric had second
Eric's
pair
got. Yeah, he's got better kicker. I think some of the places were like.
Somebody asked me a question here, and I read it, and then I forgot to. Jesse, I got to meet you at Running Up Reno. Does Harry ever play on this thing, or does he just run it?
Spicy here? He just raised this?
Harry.
Who did?
You want to do the 25-50 game? Harry actually quit playing poker.
David's got 7 deuce.
450? This is so sweet. This might get called.
Yeah, it's just not big enough, I don't think. The pot's too big.
But again, it's one of those situations that it just doesn't make any sense, though, either, right? Like, what is he betting here?
Yeah, it has to be like Jack 8 or something,
Q's
right?
Right. Time here because he's just like, what is happening right now?
He actually might give. Oh no, I'm sorry. Q has Queen Jack. Yeah, Q might. Oh my God. Oh, Q!
Q's sniffing it out.
2,700. He just decided that David never has the nuts.
Well, I think that the sizing of David's bet here is what. I think that had David made this larger,
if he had made $1,000,
but
$1,650.
his bet just doesn't make sense because it's like, what do you if you have like a set, if you have 2 pair, you're trying to get more value.
Eric's a little upset. Yeah. I think Eric knows now. He feels like he had the best hand. Like, yeah.
Did Q show a queen?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Q.
And that's a spot that like takes experience. Good on Q for picking that up. One of those things where he might not have noticed that if you're like, sometimes you're sitting at the poker table, you're on your phone. I'm as guilty of it as anybody.
That's
picking up those little things like that and noticing that, like, that was a gimme.
That's
for him.
one of those spots where, like, I was talking about earlier, where like I know that I'm weak, but I feel like my opponent's weak too, and I might have just flat there, which would have let Eric call behind me, which would have gave Eric the pot. So it was a great move on. Like, Q smelled something was wrong there.
I don't think so.
And he wasn't sure that he had the best hand. So
right.
I mean,
he got the best hand out.
He laid not a great price on his bluff. So there is like a charge to that, right? But at the same time, like when Eric just calls, he's pretty sure Eric's not.
Right.
So he just has to get through a guy who min-raised the river. Like, he probably folds a lot.
Right.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah. I think it was a great sniff out by Q. And he played it well because he got the best hand out of the pot. If he flats there, Eric probably flats behind too, right? Because it's such a small bet with the king. That curiosity bet would call.
That move on me, man. I'm going to call you so fast.
Matt Moore says, bring it. Try that on me.
Q. I wish we just... oh, my God. We have a top set.
See, you just come on Bellagio.
Yeah.
David flops unfortunately, I don't...
Nobody has anything.
Yeah, there's no...
His best bet's check here and maybe hope an ace comes off for the turn that's not the ace of diamonds.
Sorry, this is like the most little kiddish getting kicked.
Be nice in the chat, boys and girls.
I
said that trolls are more than welcome. You just have to be funny. That's the prerequisite.
It was Lucky asked if I would be DTF. I don't know what it means, but sure.
I do.
No, I know what it means.
Oh, okay. What was the...
ASL?
ASL, yeah, that's what I was looking for.
ASL, it was Lucky? Oh, it was Lucky's band anyways. Aww. We're never going to get closure on this.
Again, you're watching Bellagio Poker on the Strip. I'm your host, Dallas Scott.
Band button is ready.
My intoxicated co-host tonight are Danielle Anderson and Jesse Sylvia. This has actually been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a lot of big hands.
I'm on one glass of wine. You haven't seen me yet, buddy. Don't make me bring out Maria.
How many glasses of wine are you on?
1.5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I fail to believe that you
What'd you have for dinner?
Yeah,
I didn't have any alcohol
pre-dinner
dinner.
was.
Ask him.
She had like a bottle of wine.
Yeah, please. Guy over here.
So,
Guy over.
so your friend who plays the games here, his initials are P something. I can't even think of it.
Yes.
Drinks a lot of wine.
Yes.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yes, yes, yes.
I am not a wine drinker.
We can just, it's Peter. We can say Peter.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, I really didn't want to put myself out there like this, but okay. So now that we, I am
like
playing
where this is
a tournament at a deep stack tournament with him and Joseph Chong and God, what's her name? Adriana.
Oh, Joe Chong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they start talking about wine or whatever, and I was talking to Peter. I'm like, hey, like, I'm not much of a wine drinker, but a friend of mine's she's trying to get me to start drinking wine.
Yeah.
And so Peter proceeds to order these bottles of wine that are like $300 to $500 a bottle.
Story
at the
of my
table.
life.
You know how Peter rolls.
Yes.
And he keeps feeding me these glasses of wine. It is literally the worst thing I've ever tasted ever. Like,
Really?
it was horrible.
Oh, you must not like dry red wine. Then.
Yeah, like
I love that wine.
And so like, but like we're like 4 bottles into this. You know what I mean? I'm just like, because I know he's spending like it's so much money on these bottles. They're like literally like $300 to $500 a bottle.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I'm like, oh, thank you. And I just keep drinking this stuff. And it's literally like, I'm like, this is just horrible. Like this is just absolutely like.
That's funny. Just tell him like, hey man.
That's
if
funny.
you could grab me like the
$14
bottle of fruitier wine, that would be great.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't. My girlfriend loves drier reds, and I like the fruitier, like the fuller body reds. Yeah. But I mean.
No, but so
Peter.
That's one of those tournaments where Joseph just ran all over me. But I actually
should have had more wine.
When we got off the table, I actually cashed. He doesn't, so like I'm very happy about that. But,
wow.
But like, he I can't beat him in a pot. Like,
yeah, he's tough. He's very tough. I've done a whole lot of tanking. Like I've done a whole lot of on the turn calling and being like, I'll never fold the river, and then he bets a river card, and I tank forever, and I fold.
Might get 3-bet here.
And like sometimes he shows me the best hand, and I'm happy about it. But either way, I just feel destroyed every time I make that fold.
We played one particular pot together. Like I just, for the life of me, like the hand still dry. It's one of the few hands that I ever like. You have those hands in the back of your head. Do we have a flop? No, it says flop.
Oh, this is a good spot for Patrick.
This is going to be a bad pot.
Hand.
We got an open ender for Eric.
Yeah.
Jacks for Patrick.
Matt's got top pair and a backdoor
flush draw. He doesn't know that Q has his flush blockers, but
so
he can still make a 9 or a king.
Matt's going to call, I assume.
Eric's not folding.
I could see Matt raising here. Yeah, Matt calls. So Matt could raise here because he's in position, and it would get him a check back on the turn and like basically a free showdown.
That's a great card for Matt.
Yeah.
And Eric though. Like I mean, it's.
Ooh, Patrick, this is a really awkward spot for Patrick here.
Yeah, I think I just bet, right? Like there's still a ton of draws. Now there's like pair plus draws.
Sitting with like 7K. It's.
Well, I mean, you got to fold if they raise, but.
It's just a weird spot because they can raise with a lot of their combo. You know, there's so many combo draws out there that.
Like,
I mean, I think I bet here, but I mean, I wouldn't fault the kid for checking either.
He bets 800 to 20. That's about a third size pot bet.
Yeah.
So, you know, if he's betting this small, I feel like you already have to have a plan for this. If he's betting this small, I feel like he's inducing action, and therefore I think he needs to be ready to just put a stack in.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
you know.
And
Eric's problem with putting your stack in is you're just like dead sometimes.
And it's not wrong for Eric or Matt to raise his hand here, right? They both pick up
pricing in. I mean, like.
Yeah, no. I mean, well, the nice thing is you do get draws to like happily call because they're getting a good price or whatever.
You just have to brick out rivers, which
it's a beautiful card for Eric.
He did not brick out the river.
He did not brick out the river.
So Patrick's not going to win this hand.
Does Eric bet here?
Oh man, imagine if Eric led and Patrick jammed and. Nah.
Patrick, I mean, he's not a jam. He can't jam there, right? Though, like.
Well, he has like the best hand to bluff jam because he blocks Queen Jack, but he's just gonna fold.
But he's holding the Jack of Diamonds, so you can't put Eric on the king, like hand like Queen Jack of Diamonds with the combo draw.
Yeah, but he really does. He just can have a naked 7 there. He doesn't really have to have a Queen Jack.
He could have something like X7 of Diamonds or maybe spades picked up, you know.
No, you're hoping like Eric like leads 2 pair for whatever reason and then folds, but it's just like so far-fetched that you just don't end up bluffing here.
On the turn, I don't think Matt liked Eric's call behind on the turn. Like it kind of.
Here comes 7 deuce.
Eric says bluffed you again.
So
show the 8, I assume.
Here's a tip for people, by the way.
guessing.
If there's a 4 to a straight on the board, like 4-liner on the board, and they show you one card from their hand that doesn't match the board, the other card is the straight card. Every single time.
I agree with that. Every single time.
The other pro tip is when they still have their cards in front of them, and they are pushing them into the muck, and they say, I had aces, I had aces.
Yeah.
They never had aces.
Because why would you tell someone you had aces if you could just show it to them?
Just a couple weeks ago, I was playing a guy that tanked forever on the river, and then he went to muck his cards, and he accidentally, and the other guy was all in, and he accidentally turned his cards over, and it, like, he had nothing. He was just fake tanking just for the sake of, I don't know, he thought he was on ESPN or something. And it was just like, the whole table was laughing at him, and I'm like, oh, so annoying. Don't do that, guys.
You know, you reminded me of the other day, in that big game that I played where it's like, whatever, like, we were playing 40, 80, 160 with some other straddles. I played this hand where a friend of ours who played in the game made it 320 straddle. Art opened at 800. I made it 2500 with aces. This guy cold calls, call, flop is queen 6-5 rainbow. Check, I bet. He raises, fold, I jam. He calls. First run out is ace 3. Second run out is a 5 and something else. So it's queen 6-5. I make top set in the first run out. Second run out, I have, I guess, like aces and 5s. He quietly mucks his hand. Oh, by the way, he tanked before he called the all-in for not much more. He quietly mucks his hand. Like 3 hours later, he's like, yeah, I had queen 6. You got really lucky on me. I was like, I just like looked at him. I was like, did it take you 3 hours to figure out the one hand that was beating me that would have lost on both runs, and then try to lie to me about it?
We saw an interesting run out. You were in the game. It was up top. I think it was a 10-20, 40 game where the kings and the 10s got it all in pre-flop, and they ran it twice, and the flop was alternating. It was like, I don't remember if you remember this hand. The first flop was the 5 of clubs, the 10 of hearts, the 4 of hearts.
Oh, I do remember now, yeah.
And the second hand was the 5 of hearts, 10 of clubs, 4 of clubs. Like it was like exactly the alternating cards all the way across the board. It was like the weirdest.
And 10s won both rounds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it was like a weird run out. Like
so sick.
Yeah, where like the odds, like people were trying to calculate the odds of that hand at the table.
Yeah,
and like,
yeah.
You don't even know where to start the math on that one. Like,
Yeah.
We need to get your husband involved, Danielle.
Yeah. Count me out.
I like this. Ron's kind of giving it to him. Patrick's going to call because he's in position. He can flop a set. Flopping sets is good here at pots.
Yeah.
Yes, it happens
Flopping
quite a
sets
bit.
is fun.
Eric made a really loose call. I wonder if he continues. Like the first call was pretty loose. Clay just texted me and said he had queen 6. Yo, I saw it. I don't believe you. I don't think that he would have tanked for like 30 seconds and gotten a full count if he had top 2 and a jam for not much more. What's that?
Is that Clay McGuire?
Yeah.
Clay was Clay.
I don't know if you heard earlier, Clay, but Danielle says that you just own her in this game, and she doesn't really like playing.
No, he doesn't own me. I've barely played with him. I just think he's one of the I'm blowing up his spot right now. I think he's just one of the better Las Vegas regs. Which
he doesn't play as much as a lot of people, though.
Because he's just so good. He just sits on
if you're winning all the money whenever you show up, you know you have more leisure time.
I don't know. I think he might play online some too, so I'm sure that takes up some of his time.
Does he?
I don't know. He won an online bracelet last summer.
He did. He won the 1K or the 8. He did. He won the WSOP online bracelet. Yeah. Like he won that event.
Wait, was it the $300?
No, I thought it was the 1K event.
Okay.
I'm sure he'll text us and let us know.
I know
he
was behind the
text
computer
me, Clay, let me
and
know.
he won a bracelet.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
I forgot about that. Yeah, he did win a bracelet online.
And I know he's just solid and just never really seems to make mistakes.
And he looks weird without the beard.
What a jerk, by the way.
What?
I hate those people that just never make mistakes. And
yeah.
you know?
It's kind of annoying.
Kind of like you, like annoyingly likable.
Yeah.
You know?
So
I make mistakes, though.
That's why it's fine. You compensate.
Because I'm likable because I make mistakes, yeah.
Do you beat yourself up over the mistakes still? Like when you go
Oh,
home,
yeah.
You think about a hand, you're like, how did I get myself in that spot and why did I?
Oh, yeah. Even if it's like not really a mistake, like if you're getting like a really good price and they happen to have it that time, and you're like, oh, I could have found a fold. But like really, like you just have to call there every single time. Like, I don't know. I beat myself up way too much.
You just have to call there every single time.
Yeah.
Note to everybody, Jesse's opponents, his
Oh,
mantras.
no, not with every single hand, just with my, I like calling.
I don't really I'm not usually too hard on myself because I feel like it's just part of the, you're just, to be good at poker, you have to be good at losing, right?
Right.
And
100%.
so if you take every pot that you lose, every little thing that you could have done differently, you take it to heart, you'll just drive yourself insane. But I more so get annoyed when I make bad life decisions, like when I know that I'm tired and I know I'm not playing at my best, but I'm stuck or and then I end up getting myself buried more.
I think
that's when I get angry
that's
at
probably
myself.
my biggest, like, when I have this, like, I'm not a big, so Alan Kessler, everybody's favorite poker player, I did a thing on Twitter, and he
No, I'm just kidding. Sort of.
He asked what would poker players like to see come back, or something to that extent. And one of the things they said is they want single entry tournaments. People are tired; they don't want the multiple re-entry tournaments. Just complete freeze outs, one entry win.
Yeah.
How do you feel about those type of tournaments? And do you like those? Do you like the multiple re-entries?
I love the re-entries personally. I mean, I like re-entering, but also like Five Diamonds, a great example. You just have like Negreanu wants to win a tournament very badly. It's like really good for his sponsorships and everything else. So he's a guy who's a large winning
Six
player.
bullets. Yep.
And instead of being a large winning player for the first 2 days, he shows up and just like goes crazy with he's always in for like 6 or 7 bullets, and it's awesome. Like, and then you got Kessler going on Twitter being like, "Oh, Daniel, like this is bullcrap," and it's like, why would you not want Daniel putting 70 grand into a 10K tournament? Like when normally he's pulling like 70 grand out of a 25K tournament or something. I don't know.
I kind of get the other side of it as well. Somebody who doesn't play tournaments that much, it almost feels like at the end of when you look at the final table of a tournament, it just seems like more and more it's becoming like increasingly common that it's all pros or it's all recognizable names. Like the recreational player. I feel like when you have these re-entries, it's tournaments. I look at them as like a lottery, or like a raffle. And it's like if you're the best player in the world, maybe you have 10 raffle tickets. If you're the worst player in the tournament, you might only have 1 raffle ticket, but you still have a ticket. You got a chance,
right.
And so I
like
feel
that
like
analogy.
when you just allow the best players to
have 100 tickets now
exactly.
to this guy's
it
one
just
ticket.
makes that ratio more, and it just seems like it's allowing those robots to pull out money out of the poker economy at a faster rate.
That's true, but
when those German robots, when they win those tournaments, like make no mistake, that's not coming back to us. That's gone, and there's a
that's a whole other argument.
But hold on, there is a counter argument to that too, which is that if you don't get a chance to play that many tournaments, like for instance, like let's say that I go on to a real job and I'm doing my thing, and I come out to play like the 5 Diamond. I flew in, I went to the hotel, I bust out of the tournament on day 1. Like, I want to re-enter more than anyone else in the tournament because it's like the one time a year I actually get to play a tournament.
Yeah, but there's always like side tournaments for stuff like that. Right. And also, like, as somebody who doesn't play many tournaments, I play maybe 3 a year. I play the women's event usually. I might throw in one here and there if I go to Run It Up Reno. I'll play the main event and maybe one for shits and giggles, and then I'll play the main event, the WSC main event. And that's part of what makes it so special is that you get one shot. Everybody gets one shot. Doesn't matter if you're Danielle Anderson. It doesn't matter if you're Danielle Anderson. You got one bullet. You better.
Because Vanessa Self's 100% re-enters this year, right? If she could, like.
Well, I mean, everybody. Like all the pros. If they could fire 10 bullets into the main event, they absolutely would. So yeah, it increases the prize pool, but I don't know.
I think
if you could re-enter the main event, some people would be in for 15 bullets.
I agree with that, but I think that part of the problem is that like we have. And when I say we, I mean us in the casinos and the tournament directors. We've made it more difficult for the recreational players to play. We've made it because we allow pro players 14, 15 re-entries. That this guy who's really saved up this year to come play, the 5 Diamond, because he's seen it on TV and it's great. He busts Negreanu once. He gets lucky, he busts him a second time. You know, day 5, you know, they're on the bubble. Negreanu 7 bullets in, now Negreanu busts him.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, if I'm a recreational player, and if I bust out Phil Ivey, like, I'm a little irritated if I then have to play Phil Ivey, and, you know, it just, I don't know. So
I think that part of the problem with
Patrick with kings on the button, that's always a good place to pick up kings.
That is a good place to pick up kings.
Oh, Q's picked up 10s, though, in the small blind, so it's even a...
Q never lose. We have a saying at the upstairs area of the Bellagio. We say Q never lose.
Is that a 4-bet from Q or just a call?
I think he's just gonna flat.
Unfortunately for Q, there's a 10 dead, so you might lose.
Yeah, but that didn't stop Ron from flopping set on you last night.
That's true. That's
needles,
true.
Needles.
I should have folded that river, man. Blew it.
KZ120 says, play 3 events a year and 1 is runner-up, must be D-Moon. You are right. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Ron calls ace on flop. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
For sure. I like that
comment.
Ron
folded
right?
ace-jack, yeah. Wow.
Oh, there's your ace. Ooh. Oh, wow. Good fold, Ron.
Ooh, buddy.
I don't know what, did Ron have the jack of spades, though? Like, I know he had ace-jack.
No, but he's calling at least 2.
Right.
Yeah,
he's going to call 2 and decide, you know?
Thankfully for Q, he doesn't even have a spade here, so he's I don't think he's going to lose more.
That was actually a surprising fold by Ron, by the way. I feel like his MO is to peel there. He's in position. I haven't been there long. Well, he's not in position, sorry. But he has relatively good position because generally Patrick's going to c-bet. So, like, then Ron's the last act.
Patrick has 2 red kings, and they're doing the show 1, and he pulled both of his cards back and looked at them.
Yeah, that's a smooth move.
Like it mattered which one he showed.
That's a pro move. This kid is on top of it. He's
Don't worry, kid. I had the king.
Nothing by him. Well played, Patrick.
One of my favorite moments ever was we have this guy. He used to play up top with us. He would show up every now and then. He was a lawyer, and he would play like very crazy, and he was hilarious. And he played this hand against Piano Mike. You know Mike.
Yeah, yeah.
He raises, Piano Mike re-raises, he re-raises, Piano Mike 5 bets huge. He calls. Flop is like Jack 9 something. Jack 9 like 6.
How many times I got
Piano Mike checks, and he just goes all in for like 2 times the pot. Piano Mike tanks for like 4 minutes. Everything's like been very quiet, whatever, cordial. And finally, Mike folds, and he shows a deuce. And Mike just stands up. This is the most like calm, collected human being.
Eric's gonna run into another unfortunate situation here.
Oh,
Stu.
At least there's an ace on the flop.
Yeah, but there's a heart, so Eric's at least gonna peel 1.
How does Stu do
10
the
of hearts
things that
here
he
for
does?
something. Oh, and
that's
we're
a bad. That's a
good card for Eric though, because now his 2-pair draw is dead. He's he no longer thinks he can like beat an ace.
Yeah, but he might feel like
Sneaky
he might pay off for a
too.
chop though, right? Like he might feel like maybe his king's the best of.
He might pay off a little, but he's not going to lose a substantial amount here.
By the way, Eric's check on the turn was like sneaky, but like I don't even like it that much. Because if you have an ace, you're just going to check call the river anyways. So I guess he.
I think curiosity's going to get him here, and he's going to.
It's only 600. That's a $600 bet.
Easy game. That's all you got to do.
All Stu does is come on the stream and flop sets. You're watching Bellagio Poker on the Strip. I'm your host, Dallas Scott. Special guest co-host tonight, Jesse Sylvia, runner-up to the 2012 main event, WSOP main event. Danielle Moon.
You got nothing to put after my name.
You might have one of the most famous.
You
actually might have one of the most famous.
She's got 14,000 followers on Twitter, by the way.
Yeah, but you also might have one of the most famous WSOP moments of all time.
I don't know what that is.
Really?
No.
You didn't go ballistic on anybody on a table or anything like that, or?
Did you?
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Then it's the wine.
Are you sure that was her?
Oh, are you talking about my Lederer, my confrontation with Lederer? Okay. I didn't go ballistic on him. I was really respectful, actually.
Did he take a lot of your money?
No, it was. It's actually kind of a little bit of a backstory to it, but hell, we got time, so let's tell the story. This was last year. I was playing the main event.
Ron, by the way, sorry, just to interject.
Ooh.
Ron just calls with aces, which is kind of sweet.
You just flatted?
With these positions, yeah.
I was going to say, if Stu flops a 4 here, I'm going to be angry.
Stu's MO is to flop many sets.
Let's see, David has
continuing here. I love this.
Ooh, baby.
David's getting
just let out.
Getting creative.
Yeah. Well, he raised pre-flop, and then Stu called. And
Ron's just casually going to call with his aces.
No, Dave was the big blind.
No
I think
big.
he just called.
Oh, he was the big one.
Unless I'm mistaken,
No,
I could definitely
No, that's
be
right.
mistaken.
David is the big
yeah.
one.
I'm just going to check. I think
so
Ron's
Stu raised under the gun, then Ron flatted? Is that what happened then?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm Ron, I would probably prefer checking because David's not betting a... He could have a king, right? He could have like king 10 or something like that, but like he doesn't have many ace-kings left when you have 2 aces.
Right.
And like he's betting a jack. He's not betting a queen on the flop, so you know, you're not getting too much value when you bet the turn. Like, it'd be nice to check turn and bet river. Plus, like, you're not worried about any river. Like, an ace or a 10 are both good for you. A 9 would be bad, I guess. All right.
Okay, sorry. So back to the main event story. So this is last year, playing at a table. Table had been like relatively normal. People were kind of quiet, but it was like getting towards the end of the day, and there was this woman that had been playing the whole day, and she was maybe like mid-50s. She was very clearly recreational. Like I honestly think that she was not aware that you were allowed to raise. She only called. No, like.
Oh no! I've seen that before. Yeah, it's so like, funny that people just the way that they address it, they're like.
She was like she was very quiet. She like didn't know the rules. Just clearly amateur.
No, she's like, how much do I have to put in? Like,
yeah,
not like, what can I do?
She flatted in like a 7-way pot to like complete like the pre-flop action with aces. Like, I honestly, she just was like, how much? Like, I don't think she usually.
Yeah.
So this is the woman. So anyways, but she was kind of quiet all day, and it was getting to be towards the end of the day, and I started talking to her, and she turns in and she goes, "Do you know why I'm here?" And I'm like, "No." Why?
She won a seat somewhere?
And she goes, "It is my husband's 50th birthday. And he wanted to play the main event, and he wanted me to play for some stupid reason." She goes, "I hate poker. I'm tired. My butt hurts. I want to go home."
My butt hurts?
She goes, yeah. She's like, I don't want to be here.
Sitting in the chair playing poker?
She goes, "On the last break, I went up to the floor person and I asked if I could just give all of you some of my chips and if I could go home, and they said no." And we're all like looking at each other like, "Are you serious?" And Gary Gates was sitting next to me. And it's just like, and we just started laughing and we're talking to her, and she's like, "No, I'm serious." She's like, and then it was towards the end of the day, and she had chips. She had like, it was day one, and she had like 60, 70,000 chips or something.
What?
And she goes, "No, I'm serious." And then she goes, "Well, what happens if I make it through the end of the day?" And we're like, "Well, you have to come back for day 2. And she's like, "I'm not coming back for day 2.
This is like, have you guys ever seen the South Park episode where they play Little League Baseball and they're just trying to lose so they can get out of it?
No,
it's like a battle over. This is like that.
And she is like sincerely asking us. She's like, "How do I get out?" And we're like, "Well, you have to put your chips in the middle and like you're gonna have to go all in if you want to get out, you know." So she's like, "Oh, okay."
So basically, you coached her on how to not win a poker tournament.
Well, it was like the weirdest thing because it was like, I'm like, you don't want to like tell her to collude or like to give it to whatever, but you're just, I'm like, well, if you want to lose your chips, you have to put them in the pot, you know. So for the next like 10 minutes, we're by this time it's just so hysterical that like the media is there and we're taking the table is taking shots and it's just like loosened everything up.
How come a lot of stories when you end up with shots? I'm just saying.
It was the most fun hour I've ever had, you know, and eventually she. Oh, and also this woman. So like this poor guy calls her up. She's going blind, all in every hand. This poor guy calls her up with 8s, and of course she has like Jack 2, just like flops a Jack, just like takes like all of his chips, so she has more chips. So it's just like a giveaway, just like a free fall of chips. And eventually she just pushed all in, and some guy had a set, and he won just like a massive pot that was just like gifted to him. And there's an hour left in the day, and so like.
Sorry, Ron's about to get them with the 7 boost, and I'm really excited. I like watching Ron win a lot.
I do too. He's a fan favorite.
Come on, guys. Stu, quit Hollywooding.
Get out.
800 to call. Stu's never put 800 in the pot with 6-4 in his life. Did Eric call?
Wow, challenge.
Looks like Eric did call.
Stu might come along then.
Eric is what I like to call
Still
honey badger.
Pretty speculative hand. Yeah, Stu's that.
Honey badger.
The honey badger?
Yeah. You don't give a.
Yeah.
You don't give a beep.
You don't give a Santa.
If you guys don't know what the honey badger video is, you need to watch on YouTube right now.
Go Ron. Yeah, Pandemonium.
Snap. Well, this is not.
That would have been a great flop for Stu's hand of the 6-4 of hearts.
Yeah, no kidding. That would have been really interesting. Eric's not going anywhere on this right now. When he calls this is a great plot for him too, you know.
This is real bad news for Ron because Ron's gonna like do something that involves putting chips in the pot, and then Eric's not going to fold.
Yeah.
This is interesting because
this is really
folded the 6-4 hearts.
Eric might check here, though.
This is really unlucky for Ron because if they just both miss, he wins the pot every time.
Yeah.
And he has like a club to block the clubs, and he's got a 7.
It's going to be a no. It's not.
No.
Eric's got the straight, and Ron. Yeah, I feel like this is the Ron bluff like type of board for
this
sure.
This is the one that you thought he was on last, maybe possibly on last.
See, and it's really hard for
Yeah,
Ron.
well, he also just like if there's like a nice river card where you could potentially bluff it. I feel like he does, but
7, 5, 7, 8.
All right, so to finish the story, so the woman finally busts. There's an hour left in the day. The environment is just like we're having so much fun. And then there's an empty seat. And all of a sudden, I look up, and we go from literally having the best person in the entire field at your table, the woman who has heaps of chips, who's just trying to give them away. Literally the #1 draft choice. And towards us comes walking Howard Lederer. And it was just like, you could just like...
Wait, this is after she busted?
Yeah, so he filled her seat. So it was just like, you just felt like the air just go, it was just like, oh, it was like the worst.
Which year was
event. This was last year. Not like the most recent one. 2000, yeah.
Okay.
And it was just like, everybody just got super quiet. And there was like a guy on the rail, and he was harassing Howard. He was talking to me. He was like, Danielle, how's it feel to sit next to a scumbag? And blah, blah. And I just kind of ignored it, whatever. But I was kind of rattled. Like, it got me, I was kind of surprised by how, like, I didn't anticipate his presence bothering me that much. Yeah, so it was just like a weird spot. And I contemplated, like, saying something or not.
Get him, Ron.
Stu's going to keep betting his straight draw here, and Ron's...
No!
Yeah, it's a tough spot. And after a while, I decided, like, I just had to say something because I just, like, I don't know if I have this opportunity again. And I figured he had been at the WSP the whole year, and he's used to people calling him names and calling him a scumbag, and, you know, I think it's really easy to put, like, a wall up to that and to not be affected by that. And so I decided to take the, like, humanitarian approach. And I just said, something like, you know, does it bother you that it, like,
I read about this. Yeah.
Jesse, yeah.
Oh my God.
There's a very famous WSOP moment.
Yeah, and I just said, and
I was bad sitting here?
I was like almost like I was near tears. Like you could see, I was like very, and I intentionally made that decision. I was like, I want him to see.
Yeah, but you were near tears because that lady busted out. And you didn't
that's true. That's true. I didn't get the chips. It was a sad day. And I just said, you know, does it bother you that like it's physically painful for me? Like that I'm like physically in pain and I'm like emotionally struggling right now because you're here, you know?
Yeah.
And and he looked at me and we had this moment and he made eye contact.
Yeah, he was like,
and
right?
he said, yes, it does. And like I really do feel like he meant it and he felt it. And then I just said, then why?
That's awesome. That's a cool moment in your life.
Then why are you here? I said, I don't pretend to know everything about the full tilt drama because I really do. I think there's more to the story that was, you know, I think it's very easier for media to twist things up. And I've always kind of had the thought that he was probably more of a scapegoat than, I'm not saying he's you know, not at fault or whatever, but I think that it was very easy to pick a couple people and just put all the blame on them. And so I said, even if, like, at best, even if you're not guilty of all the things that people say you are, I was like, at best, you were, like, guilty by being complacent, you know, and you allowed it to happen, and, you know, and whatever. And I said, can't you just, like, give us this environment where we can just, like, not have to be dealing with that, you know? And he didn't really respond to that, and it was about the end of it, and then, you know,
I bet you, like, a little bit, sorry to keep...
No, it's okay.
Like running over. I bet you he like a little bit went home and thought about it and took it to heart. Like I haven't seen him around.
There's a round 2 to the story of this.
Oh, I'm not familiar with round 2.
Yeah. So.
You didn't read up on round 2.
Round 2. Yeah. So then that was kind of the end of it. It was the end of the day, and like as I went back, and also like the media had been there because of this woman. Let's see, Eric's
making a comeback here with 3 queens. He'll make queens fold. Not going to get any action on this hand. In any shape, way, or form, he's just going to win the pot. I can't imagine anybody's calling him
David might pay him off here.
Yeah, this could...
I mean, I don't think we're going to see any all-ins. We might make a little bit of money.
It's like 1,100.
You bet a little much to get called. Or not.
Or not. What do we know?
Looks like he's getting right. Oh, no, he's just getting called. Okay.
Yeah.
Snap call. Yeah, David's just a little tilted at this point. He ran bad yesterday versus me. He's running bad again.
So round 2, I went home and as I was saying, like the media was all like they were already there just because of this woman, because we were like the loudest table in the room. So they all saw it and they were like, you know, wanted to talk to me after, you know, whatever. And then I had said that I was glad the interaction happened because it actually like brought me a weird. It was emotional, but it brought me like a little sense of like peace about it, you know, because I at least felt like I had that moment where like, not that I wanted to hurt him, but I felt that he at least, you know, was empathetic to, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And but I thought, I was like, I wish that there's this and this and this that I wish that I could have, you know, said to him or whatever. And I walked into the Bellagio poker room this summer, and there is Howard Lederer just standing up by the high stakes, and. So I went up to him and I said, Howard, and I said, I don't know if you remember me, but I'm Danielle. We played together last year. And he goes, I absolutely remember you. And he goes, I've thought about and meditated and, you know, reflected on our interaction for, you know, more than you possibly know. And I was like, wow. I was like, all right, cool. And then
because the way I read about it, it was like they really like caught the tension of.
It was. I mean, it was palpable. It was. And I think it was because it went from one emotional extreme to like the next. It was. I've never had. It really was. It was. You kind of had to be there to understand it, but it was very. Saying the tension is palpable is a good description of it. But anyway, so he was very nice. I said I was wondering if I could have a little bit of your time, and I was like, I just have some questions for you, and he's like, yeah, absolutely. And we actually sat in the middle of the poker room here, and it was like middle of WSOP, and talked for 40 minutes.
Oh.
And actually, Poker Go is doing a special on Howard Lederer, and they're like re-interviewing him and stuff. And they're doing like a whole thing, and they interviewed me about interactions as well. But I will just say that he had some good answers to some of the questions that I had. He was very respectful. Like I said, I don't think I'll ever know necessarily the stuff that went on behind the scenes of the business stuff. But I did appreciate that he was willing to give me my time. And one of the things that I asked him, one of the questions I asked him was what I said at the table. I said, how can you justify being around? Like, why do you have to like invade our world when it's obviously disruptive and it's traumatizing for people to, whatever. And he said, well, I understand that's traumatizing for some. And he said, but you also have to understand that, he's like, I've had lots of people come up to me during the series, and they've had conversations just like you and I are having. He's like, and it's helped answer some of their questions, some of the unknown stuff. And he's like, and it's helped provide them like some closure. And I was like, oh, well, that does kind of make sense, because it did. It, provided me some closure. So, I don't know. There's a lot more to it, but I want to ramble on and on about it. But
what is this Talib Khalid versus Poker Twitter? Do you know anything about this?
Oh, yeah.
I know very minimal. There's this
super beef
rapper.
First of all, he's not just a rapper. He's Talib Khalid. First of all, let's
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's a big deal.
I don't know who he is. I just
he's
know
a big deal.
Yeah,
in the
okay,
rap
well,
world.
he's a big deal. Somehow
he's not like Jay-Z, but he's like, the next tier.
All I know is that he thinks the whole poker world that we're all racist. That's basically what I know. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, well, okay, so it started with...
Well, he interacted with a very odd assortment of people from the poker world. Well, actually, that's not even true. He interacted with like a couple odd people, and then some people who I think are pretty reasonable.
I didn't read all of it. I just got the cliff notes from a friend. But
it's pretty amazing.
It was hard I tried to read up on all of it, and I got kind of overwhelmed. There's like hundreds of tweets. I was like, what is going on?
This is our last episode, right?
Huh?
No, like... I know Talib. Like, I know him and Mos Def very well. Like,
really?
I've known them for a long time. Like, I'm not aware. I'm not a big Twitter guy. So, like, I don't really unless somebody says, "Hey, did you see this on Twitter?" My answer is generally no, I didn't, because I don't just go look at people's Twitter's accounts and stuff. So, like, I'm actually curious now. Like, I didn't know about this, so I'll actually go look it up. And
yeah, basically what happened was this kid who's a poker player said that he likes Talib's music or something like that, but sorry.
No, I was just going to say, you also have to know the kid. You have to give some context to the kid, because you don't need to say who he is, but the kid's Twitter profile picture is him wearing a Make America Great Again hat.
He's awful. By the way, I think he's...
The kid's very
I've interacted with him like twice on Twitter, and he seems like the kind of person who doesn't care about it. I'm sure he's like... Probably a lot better in person, but like he has an outlook on the world where he doesn't really care about other people, and he seems pretty terrible.
But I mean, so when Talib reads his tweet and then sees he's wearing a Make America Great Again hat, and then if you go through his profile, he has a lot of he's very he's sexist, I mean, that was my take on it anyways in the very limited interaction. So anyway, so this is the person that
Talib's interaction.
This is where the initial thing came in.
So anyways, sorry, yeah, no, whatever. From what I understand, he said something along the lines like, I don't agree with Talib, but I like his music. And Talib was like, I don't want you listening to my music. Like, and then they had like some sort of argument about like, I don't know. This is just going to get ridiculous and mundane if I keep going into it. But basically, like, they had an argument about, like, white people shouldn't say certain words when they recite rap lyrics and stuff. And some people got upset about that. And then somehow, like, it just became, like, this weird debate between, like, poker players and rappers. And
well, because then Dan O'Brien, who's a friend of mine,
who
never hesitates to speak his opinion, bless his heart, he came in and he was defending the fact that he was saying you can say you don't like this guy's music without it being about race. But then the guy basically then said he was racist. And then somebody came in to defend Dan. And they're like, no, Dan's not racist. So it became
one of those huge,
and it was like, just like a big cluster. It was kind of a mess. It was an amusing mess, but it was kind of a mess.
The reason why I enjoyed it so much was because there's a bunch of poker players, Dan included, who are like clearly like progressive and liberal with their thought process, and they got called out really hard for being like anti-progressive and liberal.
Vanessa was one of Vanessa
really?
Oh,
that's funny.
She ended up getting it.
And so like,
which is hilarious.
Yeah, so like basically like it was entertaining for me because it was like, you know, it was like, whoa, these are some real serious like left-sided people that I don't know. I'm kind of like the mindset where I think I try to stay like in between political sides because otherwise you get sucked to one side and you get very.
You brought up Vanessa a couple times. Let's talk about something. So like,
yeah, let's take it away from this subject for sure.
So you're going along, you're playing your game, you make the final table.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, do you like the fact that there's no more November 9? As a November 9er, are you glad it's gone, or do you wish it was still there?
I'm slightly sad it's gone. I don't really mind that it's gone. I feel extremely lucky that, hold on, guys, we're going to pose for a little.
Oh, stop the commentary, guys. It's picture time.
We're doing a picture.
Empty glass of wine. Do I get to hold a bottle of water here?
Priorities.
Yeah, get the bottle of wine out.
Yeah.
Priorities, guys.
I feel extremely, extremely lucky that I got to be in like that 8-year period or whatever where there was actually the November 9 because I come from a place that's like a very tight-knit community. Like a lot of people know each other, their business, whatever. And I was able to bring out like literally 200, 250 people from home.
Jesse, you know that you can talk and pose for pictures
at
the same time, buddy.
Hey, listen. I got years of experience at posing for several pictures, maybe a half a dozen.
My question.
Right,
we got ace, king, king, queen, and Ron's got 9s here. This is Matt's been kind of quiet today.
Ron's going to get squeezed out of this pot, I feel like. Oh, Matt went huge with it.
Stu's playing effectively 15K, 14-7 now.
So Stu's got an awkward spot because when you jam, you don't get called by worse ever. Like ace queen's not 4-bet calling.
I think he's got two. I think he's too deep to jam anyway.
Yeah.
So
well,
he's facing 2,900 and he's got 14K. So I mean,
and when you jam, you get folds a lot, right? Which is great with ace king because like it's pretty awkward to play sometimes. So he might jam.
He is in position.
Calling is kind of nice because a lot of the bluffs that Matt would have when he 4-bets are stuff like king queen or like ace 5 suited or something. You're dominating all of them, so you kind of like keeping them in and out flopping them. But you give yourself the chance to lose the pot after the flop.
Stu and Matt have played a lot together. Wow, Stu's gonna lay it down. Woo.
Whoa, that's
kind of surprising to me.
And Matt and Ron lets it go.
I mean,
too.
I don't hate it.
Matt.
I think that, you know, to be a high caliber player, you have to be willing to in certain spots. Ace king, just put it down.
Yeah, but I do kind of feel like Matt is a really strong player, and when you raise fold a hand like ace king in that spot, like you're essentially saying like you're exploitable enough that I don't have to continue with this hand, and I don't know. I think Matt's too good to fold that hand too.
Yeah, I mean I agree, especially with position. I think that, but
yeah.
Okay, so
I mean I don't know. That's just like my feeling. I don't really like. A lot of people come out and they play live games, and there's like some other spots at the table that are better, and they they do stuff like that, and they might make more money than me. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not very good at folding ace king.
Yeah, me neither.
So,
so November 9th.
So we're talking about November. You decide to go out and get a coach.
Yeah. I think it's slightly irresponsible not to get a coach.
Because I was going to ask you, but I mean, you made it this far on your own, right? You're at the final table already. You've been playing for 6 days or 7 days already.
Yo, for
now
sure.
You're at the final table.
I mean, I could play better than I've been playing.
Fair enough.
You know, like I'm not gonna change everything about my game. That would be terrible, because I only have 3 months. But I'm certainly gonna try to tweak things, and if I'm going to talk to people about poker. Is that what the coaching
is about? You're not trying to change what you've done. You're just trying to make what you're doing better.
Yeah, and the way I look at it is
like saying you made it to the Olympics, so why
yeah, exactly.
There, I mean, you're always the best of the best at anything. They're just always looking for ways to improve and be better.
But the Olympians carry their coach with them. You know what I mean? This is something complete. You know what I mean? Like, Olympians, you've had the same coach for the last 6 years. Now you're in the Olympics. Now you've made it to the final table, and all of a sudden it's like,
Ron,
hey, I need a coach.
We got a hand going on here. I don't know what Ron has, nor does anybody else. Mystery. Is this the degree all-in moment, perhaps? What do they call when they do the mystery hand?
It used to be the degree all.
Oh yeah.
When they would,
no, it wasn't like the Miller High Life.
Or was it the beef jerky guy?
The Jack Links now.
No, I don't know.
No, I think it was Miller or Coors. It was one of the beers.
I don't know. I can't keep track of their sponsors because they're so absurd all the time.
Remember they had the old commercials where who was the other full tilt guy? Chris Ferguson was hiding in the freezer.
Oh,
and the guy would be like, I gotta go get a beer, and then he'd be like, in there, be like, it's a fold, and then he'd come back and.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a great.
We got a great question in the chat. We'll get to the chat question. So you think?
Now Ron showed a queen of spades.
But now that there's not that lapse, would you still go get a coach for the 2 days, 3 days?
No, I would just. I mean, at this point, anyways, I would just grab a bunch of my friends because I've met a lot of very successful tournament players. For instance, Vanessa has become a really good friend of mine, so I would just be like, hey, let's talk about this. When I final tabled the Borgata WPT last year, Vanessa was on my rail partially because I swapped with her, so she had a piece. But she came out and she was she wasn't I wasn't paying her. We were just talking about hands, and she was whatever. But I do think that if you have 3 months and you're not, I don't look at it as I'm going to change my whole game and have this person do it because that's too much. What I look at is you should be talking about poker and working on little spots and little differences in your game. And if you're going to do that and you're playing for $8.5 million, you should be talking to the best person possible to talk to. And at the time, Vanessa Selps was the best person at winning final tables, especially the chip lead. She had some absurd stat, I think she won half of the final tables she's ever made at the time.
Wow.
Which is insane. I mean, she came in with the chip lead a lot. That's her MO. But that's insane. The only other person I've ever seen that with was Jason Mercier. Actually has an insane amount of, And
I always say if I had to pick one person to win any tournament in the world, it would be Mercier every time.
He's
there's something about him at tournaments that he's
ridiculously good at tournaments. Yeah. He's really good at all the games and all the tournaments, and he's really good at tournament strategy. And
so GCT18 has a question for you guys in the chat. It says, can you guys talk about session lengths? How long do you prefer to play, and how do you push through long sessions? Danielle, you have a family life, so do you come in and say, and I know that I've known you for a while, and you used to be a daytime player. Now you're doing that kind of late night kind of thing now. What made you make that change, and why?
Yeah, I'm kind of experimenting with the schedule change. When I first moved here, it was I'd play pretty regularly. I'd get my son to school. I'd go work out. I'd come in. I'd play from maybe 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and that was pretty regular. But the fact is, there's more games in the evenings and the night. There's just different players and more action. So I've been experimenting with instead of playing 5 shorter days a week coming in and playing through the night 2 or 3 days.
Do you come in and say, okay, I'm going to play 8 hours a day? Jesse, do you do that?
I don't know. No, I think you gotta dictate.
I never do that.
Yeah, you gotta dictate. There's some games where when you find those amazing games, you're just you can't leave. There's times where I've had to call my husband and be like, dude, my hourly right now is 10 times what it normally is. I'm sorry, I just can't leave. And then when it is that, you push through, But there's other times where I look around, I'm I've been here a couple hours, I'm I could be home doing other things, and so I don't like to put a set hour cap. I kind of have a goal, a monthly goal, because if I don't, I tend to be lazy. But I think it matters. I think mental. your mental clarity is like the most important to me. If you're starting to get tired, if you're making bad decisions, if you're tilted, or or if the game's just not that good, just leave.
So there's like if you made a list of the most important skill sets of a professional live poker player, and I'm talking about live specifically for cash, actually, like actual poker skill is probably 4th on that list. I think game selection is probably number 1, and then it's like bankroll management, and then it's like maybe it's like poker skill, or maybe it's I don't know, something like networking, or till control, or something that's like sort of part of poker skill but a little bit different. But game selection is so incredibly important, because when you play online, games aren't like the frequency of great games to like really bad games. It's all a lot closer. And you can play 800 hands an hour if you just sit a bunch of tables. So you could be like, okay, I want to play like a 9 to 5 or whatever, and sit down and like work out or do whatever you do that like makes you feel like good and in the right mindset, and then just like click buttons. When you play live, like you're playing 25 hands an hour. Who's in the game is like so important. If you're in a game with like 8 tough regulars, even if you're the best player, like your hourly is just so low. So it's like it's the reason why you see these guys who are just like incredibly tight. Like you're like, that guy's a rock. Like how does he ever get paid off? It's like that guy probably shows up, observes the games, finds people who like don't know he's the rock, who play like real splashy, wins off of them, and goes home. And if he's in a game where people have figured out that he's the rock, he leaves or whatever. And I think that's like really incredibly important, which is basically just a different variation of exactly what Demon said.
GCT18 also wants to know, Danielle, how many hours do you play in a month?
I'm a little bit on the lazy end. I'm trying to up this right now. I've been about 100 hours a month, but I'm trying to get that up to at least 120.
Really? I would have thought you played more than that, because I feel like I see you here.
I know.
I work 160 hours a month here, and I feel like you're here.
Well, that's
those,
part of the experimentation phase, is that like I'm trying to do longer sessions, because I used to just come for 4 hours and I go home and whatever. But it's like I'm trying to up that a little bit for sure. And also, I mean, my son's getting, my husband coaches high school football, and so when he's in football season, it's like more of the parenting responsibilities and just household stuff falls on me, and so then it's harder to get a lot of hours in. But my son's getting old enough and he's independent enough, and that it's getting easier to
and he doesn't want his lying
put
mother
the hours
around
in.
Anyway, so.
No, he loves his mama, well, except for
the Santa debacle.
He did before I told him about Santa anyway.
What's a reasonable hourly for 2-5?
Oh,
I mean, it just depends on where you live in the country and what games you play. So we said $50. All right, we're gonna go with 50 bucks.
No, I know.
Wait,
like
Danielle Engel said
40
$50.
Like 45 is.
I know, like the lower the lower stakes you get, the more rake gets factored into it as well, and it just becomes increasingly difficult to, overcome that margin. But I mean, there's definitely people who make a living. I have some good friends that just grind 2-5. I do think you have to be a little bit more of a grinder. Like I don't think I would, with my current work ethic, I don't think that I would make it.
What's a reasonable? What do you think is a reasonable hourly rate for the 5-10 game?
Well, I mean, it kind of depends. Like Bellagio here, there's a cap on it. It's a 1,500 cap, so it's going to be, for a good player, it's going to be a little bit lower. It varies a lot. I mean, I
think good players are winning like $80 or $90
yeah,
an hour.
I was going to say anywhere from like 70 to 100 is, a general. But
Jesse, you normally, I don't think I've ever seen you in a 5-10 game. I've seen Danielle in a 5-10 game quite often, and then she looks up at the 10,
well,
20,
this
or 25,
guy,
50, and
no, I'll play 5-10.
Hey, I don't know if you heard, but he took a second in the main event. Yeah. So, it's 5-10.
Listen. I got a poker app that tracks my play. I got almost 800 hours in the last 3 years. All right, D-Moon. So I am doing just fine.
You're gonna see this guy at a 5-10 table.
No, I actually So my two people that I look up to in terms of live grinders, the most of anyone, both of them I've seen. They have a lot of money, and both of them I've seen playing 2-5, not once or twice, and they'll. One guy used to stake me. He's at the time he was one of the bigger winners at 10, 20, 40. Now he does other stuff. And if the game was bad, he would go play 5-10 or he'd go play 2-5. And I just looked up to him in that respect, because I think like lack of ego is one of the most important things in poker. Yeah, and like there are definitely people who move up to like their bankroll moves up to 10-20 stakes, and then they're like, I don't ever want to play lower because that would be like embarrassing or something.
Right. Yeah, there are times that I'll
crazy.
Yeah, I think that ego. I totally agree with you, Jesse. I think that ego costs a lot of people a lot of money. Like there are some times where I will walk in and I will look at the whenever I walk in, I look upstairs to see what's going on with the high stakes games. I look downstairs, 5, 10, whatever. There are times I will look up at the high stakes game and they'll be playing 10, 20, 40 or whatever, and it is literally 9 just like superstars sitting around playing each other, and there's not an open seat, so it's not like they're waiting hoping somebody will come in. It's just like they're just sitting there playing against other players who are great, and I'm like, who has the edge in this game? And then I look down at 5-10 and there's just like the games are amazing, and I'm like, how are, I mean it has to be an ego thing, because it's like I'm not gonna sit up there and I don't, excuse my language, have a dick measuring contest over who's, I don't have one. I don't need to play that game. I'm gonna go make the most money.
Harry and I, and we've had this conversation about sometimes, like you said, like when sometimes you look at like our 20-40 game, 10-20-40 game during the week, and you're like, why is this game being played? Like, who's got an edge here? Like, is it just for practice? I mean, seriously, like, are you just like, because then the weekends come and we get 3 games, and like we understand why everybody's playing those games.
Cocktails
but, like during the, there are times when we're like,
well, keep in mind, not all regs are built the same, right? And you might have 8 guys at a table that all think that they're the best player in the game.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody thinks they're the best player in the game, though, right?
Yeah.
You should be. If you don't think you're the best player in the game or one that you shouldn't be playing.
No, I often sit in games where I'm like the 3rd best player in the game.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's fine because I'm in the top 5. And that makes money, or top 4 or whatever.
There are sometimes, too, where there's a little bit of an aspect of, well, I want to play with the best so I can learn from the best. And in some respect, I get that. When I'm in games with those guys, I'm definitely absolutely paying attention to what they're doing, more than other people. But I don't know. I haven't gotten second in the main event, so I'm just not rich enough to just sit around and trade money with these superstars just for fun quite yet. I'll sit with them if there's some other dead money in there.
Either, yeah.
So we see you play the 10-25.
Yeah.
Or the 10-20-40, the 25-50. You did take second place in the main event. Were you comfortable? Are you comfortable going over to playing Poker Go this week, the 200, 400?
I'd be a little uncomfortable, I think, because that's much. The biggest cash game I've ever played. I wouldn't be that uncomfortable. If I felt like I was going to be uncomfortable and I could feel that ahead of time, I would just sell some action, so that it would be less like a mandatory bankroll thing and more of like a comfortability thing.
It's sometimes more about the lineup as well than it is the actual money. Like there are times where I'm going to be like way more uncomfortable playing 25-50 than I would be playing 100, 200 in a great game. Just really kind of.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Talking about like, oh, this guy made the main. She plays bigger than me like consistently.
She does. She acts like she's like I say we see her in the 5-10
This is
game
horse crap.
And then there'll be days and I'll see her. She'll be racking up chips like, I'm like, you just got here. She says, yeah, but there's a 100, 200 game.
Yeah, 100, 200.
Ari, I got to be back.
I played.
This is what you call
40, 80, 160 the other day, and I was pumped about that. And she's like, oh yeah, it's kind of like this 100, 200 game I play like twice a week. I'm like, oh yeah, cool.
There was a weird game.
Well, that's the thing. That's part of the putting the ego away, Like, you got to be willing to play 5-10, and then when those opportunities come up bigger, then you're like, all right, I just want to play the game that is the most profitable for me at that moment. And if that's 100, 200.
Looks like Eric.
Yeah, totally. I hear you. Dan Blitz invited me to his game at the Mansion in L.A., but I still grind the 5-10 on the weekdays,
Eric has got the 7 deuce again.
Oh,
Eric said, how many times has Eric had 7 deuce tonight?
The 3rd time.
It's a.
He's run into a hand here by Q though.
By the way, did Eric rebuy huge, or did we just like miss when he won a bunch of money?
Eric has won a bunch of medium pots. Like he won the pot against
he's made a little
with the 7 deuce against the queens of Matt earlier. He just kind of picked up those pots and kind of kept them all.
You said Q never lose. What do you think Q's gonna do here?
He's not gonna lose.
He calls 1,000.
Well, he knows the 7 deuce game is in effect as well. That always is going to impact decisions. Boo!
Well, but here's the deal, though. It's a 10 of spades.
It doesn't matter. It's 10 of spades. It could be a joke.
Yeah, he's going to choose this as his nod-spade combo to call.
Yeah. There is no sequence of events here where Q does not win the money.
I know like you have 7 deuce, you're thinking about bluffing, but like I feel like Eric could have played this in a way where we, we have top pair. Like we could have.
It's like 3100.
We could have maybe like checked turn and just sort of try to get the showdown.
does the I'm uncomfortable in my chair. I have set. I mean, I know the
well,
spades.
Not raising,
I know the
so
spades got there. Yeah, I know.
Oh wow, yeah, no, he's legitimately thinking about this because he's not raising, so he's like.
No, but he's always gonna call here.
Yeah, he
I
is.
just feel like it's.
Nice river cue.
Yeah,
find the call.
Game. What does it mean in the chat when they say commentary exclamation point? Is that good or bad? Do you guys love us or do you hate us? I don't know.
They're asking who the commentators are. Yeah,
hi, I'm Danielle.
Cue calls.
There. Now Harry puts.
Oh, okay, there we go. There we go. Okay. So I don't know this chat. I don't know the lingo here.
That's an exclamation point, not a hashtag.
Whatever. I didn't say hashtag. I kept seeing this, and I was like, "Are they clapping for us? Is this like, are they booing us off the stage?"
You're watching Bellagio Poker on the Strip, aka Bellagio Plots. I'm your host, Dallas Scott. In the booth tonight, we got Jesse Sylvia and, of course, Ms. Danielle Anderson, and our associate producer, Mr. Harry Corvasi, is here.
Harry in the house.
By the way, the biggest win rate I've ever seen at 510. I know a guy who at 510 at Bellagio, across a pretty decent number of hours, won $180 an hour.
Who's that? Off the mic.
Who's the luckiest guy you know who plays 510? Of course.
Knew that. I got it on my first try, boys and girls.
You had 2 outs. Huh? You had 2 outs.
I got to play 200, 400 with Manny Pacquiao once. Sick brag.
Whoa, that's where?
At Commerce.
Really?
How did that go?
200, 400, no limit?
It was good. So it was like obviously a massive game.
Wait, she goes from 510 to 200, 400.
No, this was years ago.
You know, us grinders got to sit at the 510, all right?
This was many years ago.
You probably checked probably with the 7.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I had sold some action for it, so I didn't have all of myself. But it was fun.
Commentary!
Yeah! I want that to be the new, like, we love the commentary. The commentator, exclamation point, whatever it was.
Ooh, we don't know what Patrick has, but he just,
ooh,
this could be a hand. We're just going to call it, looks like, yep.
Ace, queen of diamonds.
Patrick got the button. I don't like them. We don't know what they have.
Patrick made it kind of small. Oh, Patrick doesn't have any chips. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, Patrick will win this pot, probably. This is like the one board where Ron can just check fold this hand.
This is Harry's favorite. It's the King X board.
Oh,
there's club drops.
Well, that probably means that Patrick has some showdown value.
So Harry, our producer, he has this thing about these King XX boards here.
Yeah.
That continuation in betting these boards leaves you susceptible. Here, Harry, I'll let you explain it.
Get Harry on the mic. Give the man the mic.
Just to get a little image for people.
Sometimes I comment on the dry king high boards being over c-bet. What do you guys think?
Sure, yeah.
I just watched, I'm not big on training videos. I have to be honest in that.
I just say you $200.
I've been embarrassingly lazy about
7 deuce, make a big bluff on the river.
Improving my game with like training videos and stuff like that. But I just watched one the other day on Brought once, I think, and it was about how when people are that basically he thinks that people continuation bet too often and how exploitive, like how
yeah, that's basically what I'm getting at here. It's like these dry king high boards. If you've got the strong king there, then you're getting your opponents to fold out their hands that could maybe. I mean, you're getting them to fold worse, which is not what you want to be doing. So boards like that, and also 3 flush boards, also get over c-bet.
I against certain people, I actually don't even want to say this, but I started just like check raising kind of small.
Yeah.
And like with
on board textures that are similar to those.
On 3 flush boards.
Can I get a pencil and a pen?
On like 100, like against certain people, I check raise like 100%, like 2.5x, and it's like definitely making money.
Yeah.
They just bet everything, and then they check back like the queen high flush draw. It's like I don't think you have that many strong hands then.
Yeah. See, Dallas, it holds some water. The argument holds some water. I'll pass it back to you so you can retort.
I actually like it, and I can't wait to
and how hard to get to the
bet the board and then ship on you when you check raise me. So I'm looking forward to that day.
Do you guys want to hear? I was going to follow up the Manny Pacquiao subtle brag with a funny story. That was why I brought it up. Not funny, but just interesting prop bet story. So it's at Commerce. It's 204. We're playing Manny Pacquiao, and he has like this whole entourage around him. Like they build like a human like. We're in the middle of the casino, but they build like a human shield around him basically because they don't want anybody taking pictures. And there was she was married to the rapper guy. He was like a poker player. Prahlad. What's her name? D.
Prahlad Freeman? Oh yeah, D.
D. Yeah. So D was in the game, and D randomly.
I like D a lot.
Yeah, she was nice.
Yeah.
She randomly brought her like niece or something. She was like a young girl. She was like 21 maybe, and she was sitting behind her. Girl didn't know anything about poker. And we're playing, and somehow, I don't even know how this happened, they started, the Commerce has, if you've ever been there, you know, they have this like huge staircase that goes up like one way, and then there's like a little platform, and then it goes up a second way, and I don't know how many stairs it is. It's a decent amount. And they started betting on whether this poor random girl could jump up it on one leg. And there's like all this betting going on, and she's like never done this before, and the girl's wearing like sandals, and she is, you know, and there was like lots of action, lots of money being thrown around, and we break the whole game, take the whole entourage over to the stairs, and they like close off the stairs, and this girl, the
poor random girl, but
yeah,
Dmoon has a bet on this for sure.
I was on the, I didn't think she could do it, and I didn't have that much though compared to them. They were betting heavy, and so the rules were she had to be just on one foot, her other foot could not touch, and her hands could not touch anything the whole way, just one foot the whole way. And her D was betting on her, and so she gave her a free roll for it, and it was like a decent amount of money. And this girl was like some poor college kid who doesn't play poker and has like, you know, nothing from us. This girl's really excited. The poor girl got to literally the last step. Like there's probably like 60 steps or something.
Oh,
she gets to the last step, and she jumps, and like her poor leg just like cannot hold her, and she just like collapses in this like ball of defeat. It was so sad, and then Manny won all the money from that.
Wow.
Yeah, him and his boys were betting heavily against her, but it was.
Did he hook her up? Like, give her?
Well, I don't know. He might have hooked up with her later. I wasn't around. I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think he gave her any money. I don't know. He gave some to the poker game, but.
What's the cost, though? What cost, though?
It was funny too because I got into the game. And I had sold some action, but that was like the biggest I'd ever played live. And so I was obviously kind of nervous. So I was like, I had this plan. I was like, all right, I'm going to get it. I'm like, just play like a few orbits, get comfortable, and then you can, you know, like whatever. I played 2 hands and I'm all in with Manny. It's like literally 2 hands.
Did you win the pot?
We chopped. Yeah. And it's funny because they said he normally never runs it twice. He only runs it once. And for some reason he ran it twice with me. He had like limp. There was like a raise, and he had called the button with kings. And I was in the big blind, and I called a 6-7 of clubs, and I flopped a club draw, a pair, and a straight draw. And we just got it all in, and I won the first board, and I lost the second.
Oh, you should have stuck to his
I
rule.
know.
Yeah.
I was like, and then after they were like, he never runs it twice. I was like, what the? So, but whatever. It was fun.
What year was this?
It was after Black Friday, before I moved here. So I don't know, probably like 7 years ago. What is? Yeah, probably. Like
no, Black Friday was 6 years ago.
2011.
Yeah. Was it really only that much? Oh.
Yes.
It was like shortly after Black Friday then. So
6.5.
So
that was when I started going out to Commerce.
Okay.
Patrick's raised +1 here with the ace queen. Eric called him ambitiously with the 7-4 of hearts.
Because
he flops.
It's not ambitious when you're gonna flop the pair in the heart draw.
Wow.
Because
Pacquiao.
Why does he keep? He does it a lot. He's raising early and then checking almost every time.
Pacquiao, like,
well, when you say almost every time, we're on like a 2-hour
every
sample
time so
size.
far.
But yes, I understand what you're saying. Pacquiao did gamble. He gambled a lot. He was a regular with Commerce for a long time. He'd go to train there, and he'd come in all the time. But then once he started his political career, I think that he faced a lot of pressure, and he was forced to. Yeah, I mean, that's what I heard anyways. I don't know.
They framed in his documentary as like,
Q has a heart draw
God
also here.
And stopped gambling.
I think I might have been one of the last people to play with him because I think that at the time he was getting into politics, and they were like crazy about not wanting his photo taken. So
really,
the graphics are wrong here.
Yeah. Why? Wait, is Q in? No, Q's not in here.
Yeah,
is
Q is in the hand. He's got the queen jack of hearts. Eric flopped the pair.
Wait,
why didn't
Q
Patrick bet turn?
We're not sure.
He checked the flop. Eric bet the flop. Then Patrick checked.
Oh, Patrick check called flop. I see. And then checked through on the turn.
Yeah. And Q and Eric will both be able to flush draws.
Patrick could be doing a little bit more c-betting in these pots where
rough for Eric if a heart would hit there.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that Eric didn't bet that flop himself
He
when
did
it was
bet the
checked in.
flop.
Oh,
He
he
did bet
did,
the
and,
flop.
and
He checked
Patrick
the
called.
turn.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
The thing is like, Patrick has a lot of hands where it's not bad to check because you don't want to get raised. But at the same time, when you, on these like very dynamic boards, when people just call, they often have just a draw.
Right.
Or like, you know, they don't have that strong of a hand because they would raise with like a set or two pair a lot. So you do get a lot of information when you bet out rather than check calling. Like the queens on Jack 10, 4,
right.
two-tone, like if somebody has top 2, they're probably going to raise. Some very strong players will identify that and actually just call with their whole range or raise like more of their draws or whatever. But for the most part, you gain a lot of information by betting. And it allows you to barrel turn a lot later because you know they have draws now.
Are you going to have a coaching session with Patrick after this?
Might have a wine session with him after this.
This one's too?
I'm assuming somebody scored in a football game or something.
Who's playing tonight? I don't even know.
It was the Seahawks and Atlanta, but I don't even know. I'm assuming the game should be over by now. We're on a 30-minute delay. Harry, can you look it up for us? He's the crack detective here. That's the producer's job.
Harry has also done a fine job of fetching the wine for us tonight. Thank you, Harry.
Do we need more wine?
I'm chilling.
I wouldn't turn it down, but whatever. When I check in with my player card here at Bellagio, it comes up on the little screen as Maria, because a couple months ago I was in here and it was like 2 a.m. and there were these 3 Mexican guys on the other table, and I went over to say hi to them and they were having so much fun and they wanted me to join them, and so I went over and sat with them and they convinced me to drink tequila with them. I drank a lot of tequila with them. Drank tequila until 9 a.m. in fact.
I feel like there's a lot of stories with you and drinking. I'm just saying.
You know what? It's funny because I think it's just the ones that I do. I really don't drink that often. I really don't. Like I never drink at home. But it's just that when I do. You know, I either like I don't go like, you know, in between. And I'm fun. So but I drank enough tequila with them that they decided that I was a true Mexican, and they tipped the floor to switch my name to Maria. They named me Maria.
We should just call you. Doesn't D Maria?
So like my
girl
tequila,
like,
my tequila alter ego is Maria. Only when
Maria
I drink
Moon?
tequila, yeah.
As a side story, before I really even knew D-Moon that well, I was told that she is awesome at parties, and she's generally like, if you have like 10 people having like a pretty good time at a club, she forces everyone to do like rounds of shots and stuff, and gets everyone to have like a way better time.
D-Moon, were you a power hour girl back in Minnesota?
You know what's funny? You guys probably won't believe this. I didn't drink a drop of alcohol until I was 21. Like my 21st birthday.
Did you do
so
the
I
power
think
hour?
that's, I don't even know what that is.
How are you from Minnesota going to the power hour?
Well,
You really don't know
I
what
didn't
power
drink until I
hour
was
is?
21. Is that, no, what?
So like, it's actually illegal now in Minnesota, but.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it is.
How do you make it illegal to?
Because you can't. The bar. It's because
Oh,
too
at
many
a
people
bar.
Die.
Oh,
people,
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
because people die. Because people
I was like,
die.
people could just.
Because people die,
It's like,
so
hey,
they decide to make it illegal.
Are you pouring shots of alcohol? No, not in this household.
No. Right. No, but it used to be bars closed at 1 o'clock in the morning in Minnesota.
Oh, I do
So
know. So
people
the
who are
overlap
21,
when it would be your birthday.
yeah,
and then
you go
would
from
drink.
midnight to 1,
yeah.
and you would try and drink as much as you possibly could.
That sounds
Problem
terrible.
is-
Oh, that's totally different from what I thought power hour was.
So like people, it was the power hour in Minnesota because bars closed at 1 a.m. So at 12:01, people would go into the bar. Hey, I'm 21, and they would just drink as much as possible.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
they'd go outside and run into a car or walk off a bridge or something.
Something terrible.
You know, yeah, and like so they actually.
Wah, wah.
I don't think you can be served now until like 8 a.m. in the morning of or something like that. There's something crazy like that.
Jeez.
So like, no, it was.
Oh, Matt
See,
backdoored
we
into
keep
a
it
flusher,
very
huh?
reasonable out here in
24
Las Vegas.
okay.
We just don't close our bars.
Yeah,
That's
there's no
right.
timeline.
You
That
don't
way,
have to worry about that,
no one's
right.
going crazy.
Last call? What is it?
Everyone's very calm in
Do you have
Vegas.
But
friends
see,
who
so-
like from other places that come to Vegas and are like, what time is last call? Or
No,
like,
it's more so like I go home and I'm like, oh, let's go, and they're like, oh, it's Sunday. The bars are like, what?
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Like,
We have
Oh
that
my
in Minnesota.
God.
Bars are closed.
they
in
just
Minnesota
no, they
on Sunday.
switched it though. They just changed it. You can buy alcohol on Sundays.
You can
now.
buy alcohol.
I don't know
on
if bars
Sundays,
are
but you can't-
open.
yeah,
Open,
yeah.
but yeah. So I'm like, what are we like Utah? What's going on here?
Yeah, it's
But I think that's why I'm so much fun now, is because I didn't drink till I was 21. I got myself knocked up when I was 22. Then you have to be a responsible parent for at least the first, like,
3
you know.
years.
I mean, I'm still a responsible parent. Don't get me wrong. I am a great parent.
About life
but
and Santa.
as they get older, you know, you can. And so now, like, my 30s are way more fun than my 20s. I am loving my 30s. You got to make the most of it, you know.
I didn't party until my 30s. I was too busy trying to be a career guy.
That was dumb.
Yeah, right. No, but the parties I did have were with
those Massachusetts girls, right?
no.
All 3 of them.
Like, I could tell you stories about celebrities. 26 years on the radio, I've had parties with probably every. I used to work for Prince. I used to be
wow,
really?
That's cool.
Yeah. So
No
like,
way.
Man.
I can tell you stories that are
Sick brag.
probably get me arrested still because the statute of limitations might not be up. Like, it's just
Yeah, I think we maybe shouldn't tell those
Yeah.
right now, but later
By
I'd
the
be
way,
interested.
Ron is going to flop a set here. I can feel
It's been a while since
Deuces
we've
are
had
my
a set.
favorite.
Oh.
We got 2 mystery hands. I feel like Eric's going to win this pot with whatever.
Do you have a favorite set to flop? I don't know
Trace.
why, but I like deuces.
Trace. I like.
I like flopping deuces a lot. I feel good about deuces. I also like flopping 8s and 9s a ton.
Okay, is there a hand that
And
you
red
feel like
queens.
flops more against you? Like, if I have pocket aces and I'm all in against any hand, the last hand I want to see is pocket 9s. Because I feel like just every freaking time they just drill a 9.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just like,
8s always flop a set too.
Yeah, I feel
And
like
that's
it's
not because of last night.
stupid.
8s always flop a set. 4s flop the most quads. No, not a lot of people talk about this, but 4s flop the most quads. Did you know that?
why? I don't understand.
But how's that statistic? What's the
They
evidence
just
of that?
do, in my humble experience.
Yeah. See, like,
4s
I
have
feel like-
flopped a lot of
I
quads.
thought you were going to, like, give me some.
Nope, 4s just do it.
I thought there was
You thought
some
there was gonna-
science
you thought there
behind
was
this. I
gonna
was
be a
like,
fact?
wait, I'm not real good at science and math, but this doesn't make sense to me.
I've seen like 24 quads in my life, and like 9 of them have been 4s, all
All
right?
right. It has been spoken.
Oh, put the 5 out there so we can, or the 3, so we can just bluff.
Left one.
Oh, wait, he's been gone with the deuces for a while. Never mind. I want to hear more about Prince.
Yeah.
What was Prince like?
Sure, master ball.
Was he warm and inviting?
Half the time, yeah. Like, Prince is quiet. Like, people don't like.
Really?
He was like. It's really weird because, like, when you work for him, you have to sign a disclosure clause. Like, you're not allowed to talk about anything. But like, he's quiet. Like, he's just this weird. Like, he'd be walking down the halls, and all of a sudden, like, you could just tell, like, an idea came in his head, and he would just go and sit. Like, there would be times, like, we would go into, like, Paisley Park, and he'd just be sitting behind the console of his studio, of the control board, the studio, and he'd just be sitting there quiet with the guitar in his hand. It looked like he's sleeping.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he would just, like, pop up and, like, do something with the guitar, and then, like, write a note, and then he's be, like, sleeping again. Like, it looked like he was sleeping. Like, it was just like, weird. Like, he was just, like, he was actually really quiet. Like, he never really, like, he's kind of like, when he wanted things done, he wanted them done now. Like, that wasn't even, like,
Yeah.
we're going to have a party at midnight. I want 300 people here. It's 11:45. At midnight.
I don't know 300 people.
Right.
Yeah.
But like like when he wanted things done, he wanted them done now. So like, but at the same time, like, he was always he's very respectful, you know. But he's very quiet. People don't realize, like, he's really this, like, quiet, and he's funny. Like, he likes to tell jokes.
Yeah.
Like, some of them are very corny, and like, but he just thinks he's funny, so he likes to tell a lot of jokes.
Yeah.
So, like, but like, he's just, you could really see, like, the mad genius in him. You know what I mean? Like he could just, he'd be in the middle of something, and like a song would just pop in his head, and he'd just stop what he was doing and just go. And like,
Yeah.
And then he'd be in the studio for like 5 hours. You know what I mean? And it would be 3 o'clock in the morning, or 9 o'clock at night, or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He would just come up with these ideas. But because the studio, people don't realize, like, his studio is always ahead of the curve for, like, technology and stuff. So like a lot of other artists recorded their albums there. So like,
Where was the studio?
in Minneapolis. Oh, it's outside of
Okay.
Minneapolis and Paisley Park. So like, being in that environment, it was just, as a 21-year-old kid, it was ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, there would be
No, that's-
parties, like, he would plan parties, like, a month out, and they would start at, like, midnight, and they'd go for 2 days. But, like, everybody in the world, like, and part of my job was, like, making sure, like, people had their rides from the airport to the studios, the Paisley Park and back and stuff like that. Like, it would look like a Oscar party or something. Like the people who would be in his studio having these parties. It was just amazing. Like,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was.
That's pretty cool.
He's like a very unique human being in the fact that like he connected with people like as people being like his fans.
Yes.
That seemed like impenetrable of like idolizing anyone or like he would be their guy. You know, like I knew a few girls in high school who were like incredibly artistically talented and also happened to be like on the side very beautiful, and like they could just do whatever they wanted in life. Like they were gonna clearly do it all, and they were just like all of them were like independently of each other, just in love with Prince. And then as I moved out throughout my life, like I meet other people who are just like obsessed with Prince. He's a very interesting, or he was a very interesting human.
Guys, if you do not follow me, I'm going to give a shameless plug here. You need to go to my Instagram at Dmoongirl.
You could just give it to Harry.
No, I'm putting it because I just made a really funny post.
But Harry can put it in the chat so they can get to it.
Do you guys want to see it? Because it's making fun of you.
Who, me?
Well, both of you.
Oh, great.
It's
Wait,
so
why is
funny.
this making fun of us?
I'm so funny because look at how hammered you look. Look at your face. How am I not making fun of you? Why would I not make fun of you?
I just look good. I don't know what you're talking.
You look like you're 22 sheets to the wind.
Really?
I think you just caught him. You caught him with the flash or something.
Well, I know, but that's not the point of it.
Did Prince ever make you pancakes?
Oh.
I have never had Prince's pancakes.
Is that a thing? He made pancakes?
Yes.
I wasn't aware of this.
Yeah, like you don't watch Dave Chappelle.
He's high tie.
I'm sorry. I
saw
don't
the
watch
Chappelle
a lot of
show,
TV.
The story of Prince in basketball.
Oh, yeah. He
Did you ever play basketball with him?
I've been there when he played basketball. I was not in the game, but I've been there.
And he's
to
good,
see him play
right?
basketball. Yeah.
Yeah.
He actually, he played in high school. Like he wasn't like like a starter or anything, but he basketball is his thing. And when you have a court in your house, you can play basketball all you want to. And practice. Yeah. A court in all your houses. I should say.
Oh, did he really? Was that like that was a mandatory thing? Game blouses, somebody wrote. Nice. Demon, when you go home tonight, you got to watch the Dave Chappelle Prince story.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually Charlie Murphy's story on the Dave Chappelle story, but it's pretty funny. And it's true. Like, Prince, like, he openly talks about how he wasn't as good at basketball as Charlie Murphy thought he was. Charlie Murphy was just that bad at basketball. But, yeah, like, no, he liked to cook. He's I don't want to say different because musically, he was such a genius. Like, to comprehend what was going on in his mind is unfathomable. Like it's just. Eric's got the mystery hand here against Stu's top pair with the 7 kicker.
7 deuce got there.
Stu never
Unfortunately, if 7 deuce got there, so did ace 7. So Eric's going to lose more in this hand than he's going to win with this hand.
Or he has the ducks.
Deuce one time.
How much did Eric bet here? Eric bets.
There's been a lot of pocket deuces this session. I've seen no pocket threes. A little sad.
Gonna raise. You did tell me before that you were hoping that there would be some pocket 3 action here.
Yeah, I came up with a new phrase for them.
I'm not quite sure what. Do you want to share it now since
the Mike and Bob special?
The Mike and I don't get it. Why?
It's a couple of crabs.
You're the worst.
Eric's calling here. Stu raised to 2,700. Eric's got a mystery hand. He's calling here.
Man, this is kind of fun because, like, he
Heart?
could.
Oh, see, now this changes everything.
Oh, this got interesting. Now it's like a really fun mystery hand.
And Stu's going to fire.
This is.
Stu's going to fire small, and right? He's planning on folding to a raise, I would guess, unless it's some really silly small raise.
Uh-oh.
Is Eric showing 7 deuce? What is Eric showing?
What do you have?
I feel like this is a spot that a lot of...
he had like ace king or ace queen or
like
something?
a player like Eric, I feel like they fail to recognize that like that's a really good bluff spot for them. I mean, not always, but I mean...
Yeah.
Stu went like bet. Like, what is he?
Well, Stu check raised the turn, so the flush is out of his. It's a flush out of his range there.
It's not out of his range, but it's unlikely unless he's got like a really strong combo draw or like a paired pair flush draw. I mean, it's much less likely that he has a flush there when he check raises his turn. Much more in Eric's range than Stu's range at that point.
At least you didn't have
But I get it too. You feel like such an idiot when you like raise and they're like just sitting there with a nut flush.
Yeah.
You know.
Somebody wrote, yeah, y'all do look hammered.
626.
Yeah, the 4 bottles of water I've drank tonight, just like.
Yeah. In fairness, we took like 10 pictures and I picked easily the worst of all of them because I thought it was funny.
Nice. Oh, Detroit missing
Eric's
his set is.
Eric has not been shy from action night. He looks like he's bet 300 here on this flop. Detroit's calling.
He's been kind of shy about his cards, though. I wish he knew what he had.
Alright, I gotta leave.
This is a spicy check call because it's not so much like the flop check call is spicy as much as like you're just not gonna find a lot of runouts where you win.
I'm asking this because the way Eric bet his chips. What do you guys think about live tells?
I would be more in this hand, and I haven't got to see much of Eric. I would be more interested in like the size that he made it than like the tells on him. So like when he snap bets 500, I think he has something like medium-ish, like for instance ace-8. Like the flush got there, right? But he's still betting, but he's not making it huge. So it's kind of like, and he also snap bet it, so he didn't think about it too much. So basically he's saying like, I have a pretty good hand, it's worth another bet, but like I'm not going to go huge because it's not like the nuts or whatever. So if you had like, you know, a heart, you might be able to bluff him off some of those hands. But also like if you have something like pocket 7s, you could probably just fold because any medium hand's beating a 7 at that point.
Do you discount physical tells in live poker in general, or do you think like Doug
no,
Polk?
you definitely don't discount.
Yeah,
them.
no, I
mean,
yeah.
there's definitely instances where you can pick things up. I feel like it's not my strong suit to pick those things up, but I mean, there's sometimes where it's, you know.
Do you consider yourself a mathematical player or a feel player?
Not at all. I consider myself very much so like.
That's a 30.
Actually, I feel like that's like my. I feel like that's my weakness is that I'm not. You know, there's some mathematical, some just like absolute strategic things that I need to, some holes in my game that I need to fix. But I feel like I'm much more like an intuitive. I'm better than most with like game flow, with paying attention to little things. You know, like I'm going to play a hand completely different versus player A than I am player B versus player C. And so in some ways, I feel like that can almost be a bad thing for me. I need to become a little more balanced and not so much reliant on those things. But at the same time, that's what's gotten me as far as I have.
We've seen a lot of pocket 7 tonight. We've seen a lot of sets, but none of the 7s have flopped a set. And now Ron's got 7s here, and he folds.
I'm really surprised he folded one bet there. Well, I guess I didn't. I guess he's got
Matt raised to
still
150. Eric 3 bets with the 7s. Then Ron called, and then Ron folded on that board.
All kind of move over there, huh?
It's an interesting fold to call pre-flop and then hit a.
Well, I think he's just basically set money there. I mean, he might have peeled off if it was like a 6-high flop or something like that, but.
All right, our executive producer, Matt, has let us know that we've got about 30 minutes left in the stream tonight. You're watching Bellagio Poker on the Strip. I'm your host, Dallas Scott. Co-host tonight, celebrities, Dmoongirl, Danielle Moon, and Jesse Sylvia, runner-up to the main event.
If I'm a celebrity, I'm like on the J list, I think.
On the J list?
Yeah, I don't even make the D list. I'm like
you're Danielle. You got to be on
down.
the D list. Harry, would you like to jump in here?
Harry says it makes the D list. All right, I'll take D list. I was in a movie. That counts for something, right?
You were in a movie?
Yeah, I was in Danielle Does Dallas.
Oh.
Wow. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
See, now your husband's going to come find me.
Tuned in at the right time.
No, I wasn't even thinking about it. I make that joke when you're not here. Like, it's just Dallas. Sometimes Dubai, sometimes Detroit. It's whatever. No. I was in a documentary about online poker.
Oh, yeah.
Bet Race Fold. If you guys are interested in poker at all, you should watch it. It's actually a very well-done documentary.
If you're in a movie
and I
you
make
play
nothing
poker,
for it. It's not like I'm making money off it or
that's
anything.
D-list. In a movie and playing poker, that's solid D-list right there.
And you play poker on TV, so you might be in the C- list right there.
Woo,
moving up in the world.
Moving up.
And now you're on Bellagio Pots. You might actually be a straight C celebrity.
Oh, wow, Bellagio Pots. Moving me up the list. I like it.
We do what we can.
You're running out of red. No more red.
Hasn't been a whole lot of action tonight.
Yeah, not too many crazy monster pots.
But we've had entertaining stories from Danielle and Jesse tonight. To pass the action.
We've got some entertaining stories from you. I mean, not all of us have hung out with Prince.
Yeah, that is true.
Well, I was a kid and I worked in radio, and I just was
Don't
blessed
short
enough to
yourself.
like.
You hung out with Prince. That's
I mean, I met Steve Aoki once, but like, this is Vegas, so has everyone out there.
I was just saying, wasn't he walking through here an hour and a half ago?
Yeah, probably.
him and Calvin Harris were just, you know.
I would love to meet Cal. I mean, I like Steve Aoki's music a ton, but I'm like a huge Calvin Harris fan.
really? I wouldn't know Calvin Harris if you put 3 people in front of me. I wouldn't know which one. I mean, I know his music, but like just.
Oh,
I just know because of the billboards. He's on like half the billboards.
I guess if he was in that exact pose, but that's.
Like I wouldn't know who Steve Aoki was either if he wasn't on like all.
Well, Steve Aoki has like a very distinctive look.
Yes.
You know, like
I have a
Calvin
friend
Harris
from home who looks exactly like Steve Aoki.
No. Really?
I feel like Steve Aoki's going to be in the next
like
Kung Fu flick they do. Like he's going to be in there.
I got to pull this up because it's unbelievable.
I think that, I mean, does he like toy with people, pretend that he's...
No.
No?
Although Mike toys with people about being
took lessons years ago. I didn't enjoy it.
The Facebook guy.
Yes, Zuckerman. So another, okay, man, all of my stories, Zuckerberg, all of my stories involve me drinking. I swear I don't drink that much, you guys, I promise. But some of my girlfriends from Minnesota came out here, and I brought them to brunch at Bellagio, just used my like player comps or whatever. And it was like a Sunday morning, and I am literally in my pajamas, and they're like, we want to watch you play poker. And I'm like, no, you don't. I'm like, it's really boring. They know nothing about poker. I'm like, no, you don't. It's really boring. Like, and they're like, no, we do. And I'm like, oh, whatever. So I'm like, fine, I'll just sit for a little bit, and they'll get bored, and we'll go home. So they sit behind me, and they start drinking, obviously. And I naturally am drinking with them. Whoa. Okay, hold on. We got a hand here.
David actually is waking up
David's finally get something go his way here. He's got aces.
And he gets 3-bet by D. Choi here. You got to love this, right? When you got aces. And
Eric's got
the
7 deuce.
He's not going anywhere in his hand.
Oh, poor Eric.
Well, let's not poor Eric. Let's not write him off yet. I mean, flop could just come.
True.
Is he going to call, or is he going to pop it again? Well, I mean, David's going to pop it again regardless.
Wow.
David does not hesitate. He says,
no,
I am all in. Eric 3-bet, yeah.
Yeah, Eric 4-bets.
Oh, Eric might have to call here. No, he's not going to do that.
He's only got 5,000.
I look the same though.
Man, sick life.
Yeah.
You have aces, you raise, 73 bets, 74 bets. You're like, woo!
That's the life you live when you add the 7-deuce game in there. You get a lot more 4-bets.
So anyways, my friends came and they sat behind me and they were drinking, and then I started drinking with them. And I'm like 4 for 4 in playing poker and just like making it look super easy when I'm drinking. I just like win all the money all the time.
So
and,
maybe you should drink more often then.
Yeah, maybe, whatever. So, but we somehow thought it was funny. There was this kid at the table, and somebody had heard from their small town in Minnesota that Johnny Football was in Vegas that weekend or something.
What brand did you buy?
So they were like, they were writing our friends, and they're like, tell us if you find Johnny Football. So we had some random dude who looks absolutely nothing like Johnny Football. And we were taking pictures of him.
We're talking about Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football?
Like, yeah, like Johnny, Johnny Manziel. This is like before he was completely washed up.
Yeah.
And and so we took a picture of this like short dude with dark hair that looks nothing like him, and we posted on Facebook, and we're like, we found Johnny Football, like, woo, you know. And we thought it was funny because like people thought we were serious, and they were like, how drunk are you guys? And they're like, that's not Johnny Football, and like, you know, and there was coming. So then we kept it going, and we kept finding random people, and we were like pretending that we thought they were like actual celebrities. So Mikey D, we took a picture of him. We were like, look, it's Zuckerberg, and people actually, that was the only one that people like kind of. But we were getting people like who looked nothing like. We'd get like an Asian person, and we'd be like, look, we found Tom Cruise. And we had like 6 of them on Facebook, and it took like a while for people to catch on. They were like, oh my gosh, somebody cut them off.
That's solid.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, I'm not gonna lie. And it was fun just walking up to random people and being like, so I know this is really weird, but could we take our picture with you and put you on Facebook?
And people like jump all over it though, right?
Yeah,
no,
they loved it. They were like,
this is
about
Vegas,
it.
man.
Yeah, people are here to
Q's got the mystery hand here again tonight. David's got 8-6. Matt's got the pocket 5s.
I don't know what Q has, but I like his hand better than anybody else's.
He's going to bet and win the pot, right? Nobody's going to call. Oh, no, David bet and Q called. David bet, Q raised.
David is not going to continue.
Am I a jerk for thinking it's a little bit funny that somebody in the chat asks if Bellagio is an MGM property, and then the mod says yes, and then somebody says, I think you're wrong, mod. It's the mod. He works for MGM properties. He's not wrong.
You are Googling.
Although he is double checking at the moment.
Hey, pull out one of your paycheck stubs and let me know what that says. Does it say anything about MGM?
You know what that line is from? The movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where the principal's talking to the secretary, and he's like, I got to get this Bueller kid. And she's like, he does make you look like a horse's ass. He's like, thank you, Carol. I think you're wrong.
I think you're wrong.
I think you're wrong.
You got one job, Harry.
To know
well,
where you're
like 3. But you're doing great.
Patrick's playing a hand that's not premium for the first time outside the king.
Well, in fairness, though, he hasn't even had hands that are like marginal. Like he hasn't. It's not like he's unfolding.
And he's gonna wake up to Eric's queens.
You know, whatever. He might peel one off here. I don't know how deep they are, but yeah, I think it's fine to take a flop here. Eric's been known to do some erratic things. Neither of them are crazy thrilled about this flop, but see, the 7-deuce, this is why 7-deuce is like beautiful, because it brings an entire different dynamic to this game, because Patrick's like, oh, I got a 9, he could have 7-deuce.
Yeah. Did Eric raise this flop?
Yeah, Eric 3-bet, Patrick opened, Eric 3-bet to 400.
Oh no, Eric bet, okay, Eric bet flop.
Eric bet. Now the 4 on the turn is bad for Patrick, because it pretty much takes away his 2-pair options. If he hits a jack, it's no longer, you know, going to have any value versus just an ace. But
this would not be the worst spot to bluff, by the way. I know it's like really obvious because we can see the yes queens, but like when you have jack 9 here, you have like the worst hand you ever get to the river with, and it'd be kind of cool to see him bluff. Like he has no draws, right?
Yeah, I think it's just player dependent, though. I just don't think that Eric's not. His specialty is not making hero folds, you know, like, and the pot's just not big enough that I just don't think he's going to care. I think he's just like, curiosity call, whatever, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
If the pot was, like, more inflated, he might have a chance at bluffing him off, but I just think it's too small for him to, unless you do something really fancy, like overbet, but I don't know,
All right, I just want to interject here on my own behalf regarding the history of the Bellagio. It was conceived by Steve Wynn and his company Mirage Resorts, and then when it opened in 1998, shortly thereafter, Mirage Resorts merged with MGM Grand to create MGM Mirage, which was later renamed MGM International. So
drop the mic.
Has been an MGM property since roughly the year 2000. Thank you.
Harry's out, kids. Harry's out.
And now I'm going to interject my Harden fact. Do you know the logo?
Is this really from Harden?
No, this is true, though, actually.
Right,
the B in Bellagio, do you know what it is?
No.
It's the S, how Steve Wynn writes his S, and the E from his wife's name turned backwards.
That's cool. Did he get a divorce, though?
Yes.
Oh, it's not as cool, then.
Well, I mean, she's immortalized, and he has to deal with it. Like, I mean,
yeah, that is true. That's kind of like getting a tattoo. Your wife's name.
I might be a victim of that.
I have tattoo with my wedding date as well, so I'm in trouble.
About 6,000.
Okay. Doesn't work out. It's gonna be real awkward conversations I have to have.
Ron has taken a beating this session. This flop is not gonna turn it around.
Yeah, Stu's not.
No, Mr. Director, that is not what's going on. Did you guys know that if you sports bet, you can play anywhere? If you're geo-located in the state of Nevada, you can use the Play MGM app and make all your sports bets that way. So every time you want to bet on the Vikings?
I've been a Vikings fan long enough to know that I should not be betting on the Vikings. Let's be real.
Hey, we're 8-2 now, so let's just...
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. Gary Anderson, man.
Gary,
that's all I gotta say is Gary Anderson.
Did you change your name? Like, did your husband change his
name?
No,
my last name. It's actually I definitely got demoted in last name wise because I was Moon, which is like the coolest last name ever. Actually, remember when Warren Moon was our quarterback?
Yes.
We used to get prank because that was back in the day when they had actual phone books. Yes. So we used to get prank calls to our house all the time because that was the thing. They'd be like, "Is Warren there?" And we'd be like, "Yep, I'll go get him." And they'd hang up and just wanted to wish Warren good luck. Okay, go fuck yourself.
That's awesome.
So what?
What? Gary Anderson. Ugh. Now you get me tilted.
Yeah, we're going to be the first team to ever play a home Super Bowl.
That would be sweet. If we do, I'm gonna try and go.
Yeah. Yes, we are. Philly.
Why not, Harry?
Because he's from Philly and he thinks the Eagles are gonna stop.
Eagles.
Oh, Harry, get out of here.
Yeah. When the Eagles play a team with defense this year.
That's the thing. We got.
Yeah. Ask the Rams. They had the #1 offense in the league until they came into Minnesota last week and they got their feelings hurt yesterday.
I don't know, man.
Even Todd Gurley was like, "Yeah, everybody plays good the first time. The first time they get the ball." And then like,
here's a question for the chat: Who enjoyed the last Super Bowl? Who thought that was a fun watch?
I don't even watch Patriots Super Bowl.
Do you know my Super Bowl story? I'm not going to tell it right now.
Oh, I know your Super Bowl story. I saw you. You don't remember this, but I saw you after the Super Bowl. You were distraught.
It wasn't the best Super Bowl for me, boys.
You don't remember seeing me, do you?
I do. Yes,
oh,
I do.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I don't want to talk about it. Let me tell you this. I'll give you like a teaser to my Super Bowl story.
It'll be on Instagram later.
When I drink, I am like the happiest drunk. Like I literally can't remember ever drink. Like there's some people who like they drink and they get sad or they get mad or they get combative or whatever. Like I drink.
This is what you're talking about.
I drink and I'm like happy as can be. I'm like woo, you know. This Super Bowl was the first time this last year that I ever experienced drinking and then being really, 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 really sad.
Did you, like,
but
seriously,
it's good.
did your
it's
life
good.
like flash before your eyes for a moment? They're like, oh my God, like.
You're gonna get yourself in trouble. Craig, this is not my fault. He's pushing it. It's fine.
No.
All right. And back to poker. Woo! Somebody's got a flush. Somebody's got his high. All right. Q never lose. Good times. Good times. Send us some more questions, chat.
There's somebody crazy putting Eagles, Eagles, Eagles. Oh, that's Mr. Modster over there.
That's abusing your mod powers.
Yeah.
It's not allowed.
Yeah.
I did it one time. Harry, one time is enough.
So we got about 8 more hands left in the night's game. Thank you guys for coming out and joining us. This has actually been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
a lot more fun
awesome,
than just Harry normally. Yeah, like gotten lots of stories. I think there's probably a whole lot of FCC violations we're doing here with the wine, but that's okay. Like,
What is that? What do you have going right now? Is that white wine?
Yeah, I'm not employed.
Of course, that's white wine. We also she got the big glass this time. Like,
no, you guys. Well, you guys stopped drinking. I'm only on. This is number 3, but you guys stopped at 2.
But that's the size
Jesse
of 2 or
stopped
3.
at 2, I guess. Quitter.
Oh, Matt flops the set. Now we're back to Bellagio.
Matt.
Okay,
Matt.
on a dry board like this, you like the bet here? Do you?
Yeah, I mean it's a dry. It's like we have the privilege of seeing the hand, but I mean if he's got somebody's got a king or they got a 7-8 or they have a I mean.
That's just let, huh?
I'm fine with leading here.
Yeah, I usually check, but I mean it's kind of cool to lead to like try to get people to do stuff.
Wait, was he first act?
No,
he's the big blind. He just called.
The big one?
Yeah, Patrick raised the button, and they both called.
You probably didn't even know you were going third. Probably felt like you were going third.
Just wanted to get home.
Dmoongirl, has poker been difficult for you, having been born with the disadvantage of being a female? See, I told you guys that I wanted trolls to come as long as you were being funny.
Wait,
that
hold
is
on.
funny.
His screen name is the midget Mr. Jesse Shane.
Bonus, 2 points.
This
you
is
win.
solid stuff.
I like it. That's great.
Well done, midget.
Well,
Do you think guys play you differently?
Oh, 3 king me 3 at a
you think
message
like tourists
deleted.
come in here who don't know who you are and like try and run over you because you're a female in the 5-10 game?
It definitely, there are times that I encounter that. It's very like player dependent. By now I've been around, you know, long enough that most people know. Like when I first started transitioning from online to live, I would get away with murder. It was amazing. But now I feel like for the most part I get played pretty straight up. But there's definitely times where you can just like see that there will be like a guy who's got like the ego thing, and he's like.
Is it always older guys though too though?
Not always, no. And it's funny too because I feel like there's when that happens, there's like one of two situations. They're like one, this is a girl, so she's obviously not capable of bluffing, so I'm just folding everything. And then it's like two, this is the girl, so this girl's never gonna bluff me, so I'm gonna call everything. So like. When I figure out which of the two categories to put them into, I can just, you know.
Get away with murder.
Yeah, then that becomes a fun game for me. But do I ever play strip poker? Only
she plays
on the strip.
Yeah, all the time.
Yes, does that count?
Yeah. Bellagio Poker on the Strip is the name of the show for a reason.
See, that was like kind of trolling, but it wasn't really that funny. You got to up your game a little bit.
Stu's got the 7
The
deuce
bar
here
has been
against
set.
Eric's Ace King. 7 deuce game coming into play. Stu's asking for a count.
Stu might try to go for something.
What is Eric?
Stu's trying to get some, like.
I mean, Eric's been pretty active tonight. He's just been involved in 3-betting and a lot of hands.
I want to see like a 7 deuce versus 7 deuce battle where everyone's like throwing in extra.
What's the rule? Does everybody have to pay then? Have 7 deuce and 7 deuce chop?
I guess
I think so.
Great flop for Eric.
Wow. This is a
Unfortunately,
flop where Stu could try to like fight back too.
I would love to see Eric check this flop, but I don't think he will.
If Eric bets,
that's 1,000.
Oh, that's too big. I was gonna say if he bet like 600, Stu could raise to like 1,800 or 2K, and then Eric might just like rip him in or put in a third bet and get the maximum out of his hand.
But the 7 deuce is going to affect how Stu plays his hand, right? Like he's got a $700 overlay or $1,400
Yeah, I mean, and also
overlay.
you wouldn't blame Stu for not giving him credit for a hand here. He could think he's got. I mean, he could put him on Ace King. You know, not thinking Ace King of Hearts or Ace Queen, something like that. And not this hand though.
Q was clairvoyant because he did have 7 deuce. Oh, he thought Eric had a 7 deuce.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Q just says every hand. Do it.
I kind of would have liked to have seen Eric check there.
The cameras don't really do it justice, but Q has glorious hair.
It's always shiny. It's like the most shiny hair.
Oh my
like,
God!
Out of a Pantene
it's
Pro
well
commercial.
kept. It's yes. Q just kills it with that hair. Me and Matt the other day were talking about how I don't even know how this came up. But we were talking about how if we had a baby, it would be like the kid who runs the best of anyone. And then Matt said something about how he wanted to come back as Len's wife because Len was going off about how much money it cost his family.
Matt Moore or
what's that?
Matt Moore was having this.
Yeah. And I was like, man, I'd come back as Q's hair. Q's hair is kind of killing it.
Yeah, it's very shiny. Always like, always in place. So when you were like going to be, you knew you were going to be on the November 9 TV table. Were you like all trying to get all prettied up? Make sure you had your hair all cut right, like.
No, not for that. But when I made a WPT final table last year, I had to like go to makeup before it, and stuff, which was like a real bizarre moment for me. But yeah, no, for the WSOP, I thought about like what I would do, how I would, act, what I would wear, and then I just like last minute audibled, and I ended up wearing this like shirt with a print of ODB on it that I bought at a thrift shop like 8 years before, and just like wore it out and just sort of chilled and had my, I don't know. I didn't really put enough time into my style, I guess. I did buy some sweet new kicks for it, which, sitting at a poker table, that's always a great choice.
Do you wear them now? Are those your lucky kicks now?
No, I don't have those or I might have them somewhere actually, but they're pretty old and beat now. I'm like an Air Force One fan. I usually have like a couple pairs of Air Force One cool colors. I will say this: I had a deal put in place with a potential T-shirt company where they were going to give me like a small percentage of the company for wearing this shirt. They wanted to be like the affliction of the poker world, which is a terrible concept.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if you want to be the
it was awful.
Well,
and,
affliction had its time in the poker world as it was.
I had a potential agent who was doing a deal with them, and it was just like the whole thing was terrible, and it fell through.
This is a big we got a hand developing here, boys.
Detroit's got aces. fours.
Detroit has aces? Are you kidding me?
Wow, this is... Eric is just... He's been in it today. Like, he's going to run queens and aces here. Ron ships?
Did Ron just go all in?
Yeah, wow.
Wait,
do we know what Ron has?
No, Ron must have something good, though.
you think they're like...
But, I mean, there's only... he's
what does Eric
kings?
do here with queens?
Wow, this might be ace versus kings versus queens.
How much does Eric have?
Eric looks like he's about 12,000.
Yeah, I don't think Eric's... I mean, he's in a gambling mood.
Yeah, he's stuck.
Detroit, oh my God, what a... Detroit's like, oh, okay.
Detroit lives the life.
Once or twice, boys.
Wow.
The 3 guys, you got to go once.
Yeah, Ron, run it once. Hit a king,
like
Ron.
A boss.
Yeah, you know it anyway. Detroit have fucking ace.
I have to win. Kings and queens. Wow.
Aces, kings, and queens.
Come on.
Jacks win.
Wow.
10.
King.
Queen.
That kind of
On the
day.
river. Bang.
Oh! Wait, have we confirmed that Ron even has
Yes,
it?
Yeah,
Ron declared he had it.
Oh, let's go, Ron.
Oh, man.
Jesse.
Yes, you are welcome, Ron. Absolutely, bud.
Wow.
Oh, Max Payne, River.
Wow.
What do you say? Thank you, what?
Thank you.
He thanked us, yeah.
Oh.
I think because we were sending him the run good. I don't
Oh.
know. Wow. What a, I mean, we've been sitting here all night and there haven't been any like crazy massive hands. And then we're about to go and just, no big deal. Aces, kings, queens, easy game.
Sick.
Wow.
So he wrote Jesse rigged.
Poor
Written hard with a
Eric.
king.
Eric just had a rough night.
If Matt's in that pot, does he hit a deuce?
I was trying to remember what the flop was like. Can we?
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll get back to the flop in
It
a
was
second.
a jack and a 7
Jack nine.
or jack
Okay,
9.
okay.
Because I was hoping for 10 for the
no. Somebody would have flopped a set of fours.
Patrick would have flopped a set of fours. But
No, Patrick.
it's so irrelevant because
Yeah.
he just never gets
No,
there.
he should have put it in there.
Yeah, come on,
How
Patrick.
could he? He could have had like 40K
Gamble a
at the
little
end
He
of
would
the
have
session.
lost on the river.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Fours lose to the king.
This is why we got you in here, so we can have somebody who knows the action.
Wow,
And the,
like that's crazy.
yeah, this is a good hand.
We haven't had one of those hands like
Easy game.
35.
All right, well, this concludes another season of pots.
$35,000 pot to end the season. Wow. And a 25. Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
There was a.
So did Detroit get any?
Yeah, he
back on
got
that
a
from
little bit.
Eric?
He got a little bit rebate from
Yeah,
Eric.
Yeah, I think
Because I think
Detroit only
Eric
lost like 5K on that hand. Unfortunately.
Actually, he might have made money because I think Ron only had like 7K left and Eric had like 12. So it was close. He might have broke even.
I think Ron had like 9 and Eric had like 15, according to the stats. They could be wrong. So Detroit won 6 in the side and lost 9 in the main. So he won like, he lost like 3. That's not bad.
No.
You're gonna get.
It's not bad.
Oh,
but
Patrick
when
has
you're
fours
looking
back
at
to
the when you're
back.
looking at the pot that you could have scooped, you're not
Oh, for
feeling all
sure.
that great about it. But
I
at
love
least you
these.
got a little rake back.
These are my favorite moments. There's like a huge pot, and then somebody just sneaks in there and wins the blind slice.
So nobody's paying attention.
Looks like we got about 3 more hands left of the night, guys. You're watching Bellagio Poke on the Strip. This is our swan song for this season, for season 2. I'd like to thank Jesse Sylvia and Danielle Moon Anderson for joining us tonight. They want you to finish the Affliction Poker.
Yeah, I was
story.
kind of curious about that as well.
Oh, whatever. So we decided not to do the deal, and I hadn't done any like this negotiating. There was like a guy who was going to be my agent. It was like in between me and this company, and I get like these multiple emails that are just like basically hate emails, being like, we had a deal in place and blah 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 and all this stuff.
Wow.
And so I didn't even think it mattered. I was like, who watches there's not that many viewers watching the final table. And so I ended up, my buddies have a like a surf type brand t-shirt or clothing company, and I wore their t-shirt out there. And they end up selling out like that whole stock of T-shirts.
Oh,
so
nice.
It ended up mattering a lot, and it was really funny. So it goes to show you, you be nice to people, and you have a brand that's not Affliction-esque, and maybe you do well.
You do well.
I don't know. I still see a lot of Affliction around the poker table.
Yeah, what's up with that? It's always like
Scott Jesse.
somebody in the
No,
name
but I
of
love.
guys.
I don't want to like
What?
stereotype, but I love seeing guys with Affliction shirts at the table. They tend to be the dudes that never want to fold to me. Just saying.
Yeah.
Did you have an Affliction shirt when they were out? When Affliction was the thing, Jesse?
No, I never got into the Affliction craze. I had some absurd shirts, probably.
Oh, are they doing a
but no
bomb pot here?
Affliction.
Looks like they're doing a
Bomb pot.
Yes, bomb pot. This is my favorite thing ever. If you're not familiar with what a bomb pot is, everybody puts in whatever decided amount. Looks like, are they doing 100 here? And then everybody gets 2 cards, and you just go straight to the flop. So there's no pre-flop action. So it creates a really interesting dynamic when you have every single player in, the flop comes out, you got 1 pair, and it just creates a lot of action. It's basically like an ante, straight to the flop. So.
Do you have any Ed Hardy gear?
Oh my gosh, Detroit has aces in a bomb pot.
Oh my god.
This is so weird because
we were just talking about
this.
this.
So brutal.
Because you like look down to that and you're not even feeling that great because there's just so many cards out.
Yeah, you're just 8-4 flop. We're missing a couple hands here.
So far,
Stu's gonna fire.
Yeah, we don't know what Stu has. But I mean, if you're Detroit here and you have aces, like you can't just go haywire because I mean, they just have anything. 8-4.
This is too bad because I really want to see all their hands.
It's impossible to like define ranges.
Yeah. No, I mean, 1 pair is almost never that good.
Just folds them.
This is a pretty good board for 1 pair. I gotta say.
Does Detroit just fold?
Yep. We don't know what Ron has.
I don't think I would fold that on this board. Stu bet 300 too. Yeah, you can't fold that hand.
I'm really confused.
Stu only bet $300 in a massive pot.
Because there's 700 in the pot already. He only bet 3, and he's got position.
Do they have?
I mean,
the bet wrong or something? Or
no, it's 300 bet.
Patrick called.
I don't know how to play poker. I don't know what's happening right now.
So when Patrick calls, he can have like.
I'm just gonna stop talking. Just let this play out because I'm already. This is way over my head.
Yeah, I agree with Harry. I don't think Detroit had aces and folded for $300.
Yeah, I feel like that's
our executive producer, Matt,
Detroit's actually getting almost direct odds to hit an ace on the turn.
Our executive producer, Matt, is saying that he had aces.
Really? Detroit, I would not fold aces there, buddy.
Need confirmation from this.
Well, we'll find out in a minute.
Well, Detroit was right though. It got raised, so he would not have seen the turn anyways. And
yeah, but at that.
But I mean, you can't fold for 300.
That was the most. If Detroit had aces, that was the most shocking thing I've seen this entire session.
Patrick, he did have aces. We just double checked. He did have aces there.
So Patrick, the hands that Patrick wants to continue with here are probably like 2 pair, maybe a very good king, and then like sets and stuff, and then maybe like occasionally you could have like 5, 6 of diamonds or something to call and then bluff river when Matt checks back, but
Patrick's not that deep.
D-Moon is from Minnesota. That's where she comes from.
But I mean, he can't like get it in with like,
to be precise.
You know, ace king here or anything, right?
Wow, Patrick.
He just called. Patrick most likely has a really strong hand.
The thing with bomb pots too is there's like a huge learning curve. I have seen so many players because I have a decent amount of experience with them. I've seen so many players that they flop like top pair. They got like king 10 here, and they just like think they have the nuts or something, and they don't understand how many combos can be out when just literally everybody has 2 cards going to the flop. So
you say king 10?
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying people just like spaz in bomb pots. They see the money in the middle, and they're like, oh, I flop top pair, and they just go haywire. Whereas realistically, I mean, you should just have, 2 pair or better to continue in a spot like this, generally.
I don't get it.
So
somebody asked where the name D-Moon comes from. My first name is Danielle. My maiden name was Moon when I first signed up for online poker. It asked to make a screen name, and I put approximately 0.07 seconds of thought into it, and I put D-Moon and girl, and that's been me forever. D-Moongirl. Patrick.
What does Patrick have?
I hope.
Good thing we played a bomb pot.
Oh, snap.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
Everybody else has.
Yeah, that makes
Patrick
sense.
Patrick has that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense. He's got like he's got the board covered.
How crazy would that have been?
Did he send smoke signals to? Yeah, no kidding. If this is not a bomb pot.
Yes.
Detroit loses back-to-back hands with aces to a set of kings.
Jeez.
Wow.
The fact that Detroit had aces versus kings 2 in a row is actually pretty insane.
I'd like to thank you guys again for coming out and watching Bellagio Poker on the Strips. I'm your host, Dallas Scott. Danielle Moon Anderson and Jesse Sylvia have been our co-hosts tonight. Again, thank you guys. We will post his next season schedule on Twitter as quickly as possible at Bellagio Poker. You guys going to come back and hang out with us sometime next year?
Absolutely. I'd like to be on the tables one of these times.
All right. You're always welcome on the table.
Well, I know, but I mean, thanks for having